We will be prompt and start on time. I call the meeting to order. Roll call. Mrs. Snyder.
Ms. Metoyer?
Here.
Ms. Fleur?
Here.
Ms. Black?
Here.
Ms. Yelsey?
Here.
Ms. Bartow?
On our way.
Ms. Anderson? Here. Ms. Snell? Here. Dr. Navarro?
Here.
No speaker cards. So all of you public that want to speak to us, you missed your opportunity. Get down here right away.
That's on tape.
I know it is.
Well, we
They can all
should
hear
put
it.
cardboard cutouts of people in the seats.
We could do that.
There's one right there.
A cardboard cutout. With that, we're going to recess into closed session. Good evening. We'd like to call the meeting, I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Oh, you're just, well done, audience. You get a star.
Spoken like a true
True
principal.
teacher, yeah. Happy face, stars, smiles. Certainly it isn't for the volumes and or the company car. That's what I always said. Yeah, I do this for the company car. I'm reporting that in closed session, the board took action to release and non-reelect 156 temporary certificated employees pursuant to Education Code Section 44954, effective at the end of the 2018-2019 school year, and directed the superintendent or designee to send out appropriate legal notices. The roll call vote was as follows: 7 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent. Thank you. And we did roll call, and we are now going to do our opening ceremonies. Our audience is doing great, and our honorees are waiting in the queue outside. We are doing a moment of reflection and pledge of allegiance to the flag. We don't have someone sitting up. He's right here. He's one of our thinnest people. Mr. Murphy, will you please do the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
Ready? Begin.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
have a motion and then pull the case number from the, oh, that's the consent calendar. Never mind. We need to have a motion to adopt the agenda.
So move.
Madam,
It has to be moved in.
I'd like to amend it, please. Remove an item off the agenda and place it, change it on the consent calendar.
See, that's what I was saying. Oh, go ahead.
So I'd like to please remove one item, 17D.1, case number 182677, to vote on that separately from the consent, please.
Okay.
So move with the change.
Is there,
Second.
thank you. It was moved by Mrs. Black, seconded by Mrs. Yelsey with the moving of the case number. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0. Oops, sorry, I wrote that wrong. Approve adoption of the minutes for 5/14/19 and 5/17/19.
Oh, so moved.
Mrs.
Second.
Thank you. It was moved by Mrs. Fleur, seconded by Mrs. Black. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. 7-0. Okay, now we can get into the good stuff. We have recognition of our spring athletic sports champions. There should be some kind of theme music coming on, like Wide World of Sports or something. Dr. Barmeister.
Dr. Navarro, President Matoye, members of the board, cabinet, and distinguished guests. Tonight we are recognizing our spring CIF athletic champions. We'll begin tonight with the Newport Harbor High School men's volleyball team, who truly had an epic year, being ranked #1 in the country for much of the year. And I now will call up Principal Bolton.
Thank Thank you, Dr. Bauermeister, President Matoye, members of the board, Dr. Navarro, executive cabinet, and distinguished guests. Speaking of the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, last year we were undefeated going into the Southern Section CIF game. And of all teams, our Cross Bay rival, Corona Del Mar, beat us in the CIF game. They also beat us in the state game. So we took that agony of defeat, we put a chip on our shoulder, and this year we came back stronger than ever. So in a small, insignificant way, we would like to thank Corona Del Mar High School. And this year they beat us during the regular season, so we went into the championship game with a loss, which I think helps. You're not carrying the weight of an undefeated season. So 39-1, one in the state, one in Southern Section. Some national rankings had us #1, cumulative GPA of 3.5. I'd like to just present our men's volleyball team, our boys volleyball team, CIF and state champions.
Who's reading out the names? Dr. Bolton, who's reading the names?
So this is head coach, Coach Sorelli. He's stepping down after this year. He's going out on top. So his brother is actually the throws coach, Tony Sorelli. So in many ways, this is a celebration of the Sorelli brothers and their prowess in the coaching world. So Rocky, you've got it.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting us here tonight and rewarding or appreciating our team. First, Dane Carroll.
No.
So like you got to do a mark here.
One of our captains, Dane Chalmers.
Show us now? Yeah, while they're all being called.
Reese Clayson. Owen Fisher.
You know there's going to be a photo op. There's always a photo op.
Zach Forbath. Caden Garrido. Corey Griscom. Jack Higgs. The other captain, Joe Carlos. And this is the only way I've heard this pronounced. The game is Blake Luz. Kyle McKibbin. Alec Patterson. Jack Rogers.
You guys know how to do that.
Harrison Schrock. Ryan Schroeder. Robbie Spooner. Sam Walton. Also, before I introduce these two, we had two other assistant coaches, Rusty Sari and Stephen Duho, who are not here tonight.
So you want to introduce? We have this for you.
Okay.
For recognition of actually getting us to national first.
Dana, can you talk into the mic?
Oh, do I have to go on the mic? Yeah.
Well, thank you.
See, I would be back there telling the person to go on the mic as well. My son, Cameron, got to play volleyball for Newport Harbor and before. And I just know you're a great asset, you know, to the team and to our school and to our district. So you're going to be missed, you know, the legacy of our Sorelli brothers. So thank you.
Aaron Vallerly. And Danny Glenn.
Or take a knee, one or the other. You guys know what to do. You've only had 7,000 pictures. Honest to goodness, the kids know. I found that from the time they're in fourth grade, they get something and they know how to like this. Because they bring stuff.
They've been trained.
Uh-huh. That's right. Grace? Step was right in front of us, like a one-step step.
Oh, and your other right.
That's what we were, that's why I won't even tell you what I did in this book before I knew better.
Yeah, I wouldn't tell you what I did. I was
No, we're pretty impressed with that 3.65. That's a lot of work to do the time that you have to take to get where you did. You're welcome. All right. Parents, thank you for everything you did to help make these great athletes represent Newport Harbor. And coaches, and you are welcome to gracefully take your kids home or join them.
Yes, we have a couple more. Tonight, we'll also be recognizing a couple of individual athletes from Newport Harbor High School. In the spring, we have a couple of team sports who recognize individuals as CIF champions. Our first is a CIF champion in the throwing events for track and field, and I'll turn it over to Principal Bolton to announce his coach and athlete.
Thank you, Dr. Bauermeister. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Dan Glenn, who's been teaching at our school and also coaching for over 35 years, who is the director of volleyball at Newport Harbor. He has to go coach a Pilot Cup game now.
Yes, the important.
So our next athlete is Aiden Elbitar, who won CIF in the discus and shot put.
Ooh.
So Aiden,
That's it.
and this is the other Sorelli. This is Tony Sorelli, who's our throws coach. Anytime there's issues on campus, I go grab Aiden. You know, he takes care of business. But a fantastic student athlete, great young man, and Aiden's only a junior, so next year he's poised to do great things on the state level as well.
Aiden had a great season this year. He works very hard. He only does track. We start in September, so basically he's been working for 4 to 5 hours every day, 5 days a week since September. And if you think about track and field, especially the throws, a throw takes about 1.5 seconds. So it's 10 months of work for 10 seconds of work. So he was CIF champion in both the shot put and the discus. He was also the Masters champion in the discus, and then this Saturday he got second place at state in the shot put.
Oh, wow.
We didn't do what we wanted to do in the discus, but like I said, it's part of the nature of the sport. And He has the national championships coming up this June 15th and 16th back in Greensboro, North Carolina. And his discus throw of 197 feet is the best throw in the state this year, and it's the 8th best throw in the United States. And his shot put at 62.9 was the 4th best throw in the state this year, and in the top 20 for the United States. So we're going to go back to North Carolina, and everybody's going to look basically like him. See what we can do. But like I said, he's a hard-working kid, and he deserves everything he gets. Aiden Alvatar.
Coach Sorelli, before you leave, it's pretty rare that we have a CIF champion in both shot and discus. They're two different events, and that's, I mean, it doesn't happen very often, right? I mean, it's a great accomplishment, so congratulations on that.
Obviously, we know who the better-looking brother. Our final individual CIF champion from Newport Harbor High School is a swimmer who could not join us tonight, but I believe Principal Bolton has a few words prepared to recognize her efforts.
Just very quickly, Ayla Spitz, she's a valedictorian with her twin sister Zoe. Ayla's going to Cal on a swimming scholarship. Zoe's going to Rice, very competitive family. They're recognized on every which level that CIF recognizes student athletes, but again, very proud of both their accomplishments. 100 and 200 freestyle champion in CIF, Ayla. And again, she's on to Cal. I believe the 2024 Olympics are in Paris, and I think we're going to see her name up there.
Wow.
She's a competitor. She's coming close to some pretty significant times in those events. And again, a long storied history of aquatics at Newport Harbor, and she's just contributed to that legacy of aquatic swimmers that come out of Harbor. So congratulations to Ayla.
No, thank you. Wow.
Everybody's been asking, no relation to Mark Spitz, as far as I know.
Oh. One never knows. Alrighty, we are at, yes, I love saying it too. This is fun. We have, Mrs. Clark is here to recognize our superstars.
Good evening. President Matoya, members of the Board of Education, and Dr. Navarro. The Newport-Mesa Superstar Program was established as a way to recognize employee excellence. Each year, nominations are accepted from parents, students, community members, and staff, and all nominations are reviewed by the Superstar Nomination Committee. Tonight, we are recognizing 4 employees whose outstanding performance helped create a more positive environment for students, staff, and our school community. Director of Nutrition Services Dale Ellis and Kaiser Elementary School Principal Deborah Granger will be introducing our superstars, and Personnel Commissioner Susan Meyer will be assisting the board in honoring this year's recipients. At this time, I ask Martha Floor to come down and Susan Meyer to come up.
Oh, good. This is really exciting. Completely committed to bringing joy and enthusiasm to what some may consider a mundane part of her job, this superstar brightens the day of everyone who crosses her path. Responsible for photographing each employee for their district badge, she wordlessly conveys, that's right, she wordlessly conveys that each person she interacts with matters. She is dedicated to providing the best picture possible for each employee, and through her infectious cheerfulness and exuberance, everyone leaves pleased and proudly displaying their badge, feeling great about themselves and their day. She brings this same passion and commitment to other aspects of her position as well, including coordinating work orders for a very busy maintenance and operations department. These are not minor things, as she represents the best of what we are at Newport-Mesa, performing a job as well as it can be done, even when it might not be noticed or acknowledged, and treating all with respect, support, and dignity in a genuine and consistent manner. Congratulations in the area of maintenance and operations, Office Assistant 3, Bridget Besnay.
They won't be as good as the photos you take, but I'll try.
And in less than 2 years, this superstar has transformed the Sonora Elementary Library into a beautiful, inviting, magical place for children. Effective, efficient, and well-organized, this library media technician runs a reading club each morning before school where older students help the younger readers, provides an opportunity every Thursday during lunch for students to make seasonal crafts to decorate the library or their home through her Crafts in the Coop program, and heads Sonora's Battle of the Books Club, where she coaches students Wednesdays during lunch and after school to prepare teams to compete against other schools. Sonora's girls team recently took first place in this year's competition. Adored by students, parents, and staff for her welcoming presence, creativity, and initiative, she embodies the excellence, professionalism, and integrity so highly valued at Newport-Mesa. Congratulations to Sonora Elementary School's Library Media Technician 1, Suzanne Chan.
At the beginning of the school year, this superstar teacher welcomed a challenging student with unique needs into her classroom at Kaiser Elementary. Spearheading a campus-wide effort to guide and assist this student, she spent untold hours beyond the school day creating systems of support while also ensuring the student had the essentials that others received at home. She successfully brought this young man to a place where he could trust adults and be accepted by his peers, a wonderful achievement that reflected the immense talent and energy of this outstanding teacher. She did all of this while actively supporting other students with a wide variety of challenges. She modeled patience, grace, and kindness when being tested and pushed, providing tremendous lessons in compassion and humanity to a classroom of 5th grade students. This dedicated, kind-hearted, and outstanding educator is devoted to the success in every sense of the word to every student every day. Congratulations, Kaiser Elementary School 5th grade teacher, Narissa Hawatanatu.
That's so cute.
In just the first year of her career, this superstar made an immediate positive impact on the Davis campus, quickly demonstrating a positive attitude, strong work ethic, and an energetic yet calm demeanor. She helped design and share a universal screener with all classroom teachers, followed by countless hours combing through the data before working with a small team to determine the necessary Tier 2 interventions. She then created and facilitated the running of social emotional intervention groups and mentored 2 social worker interns and other staff members in order to even further support students. With a natural ability to connect with students, staff, and parents, she has been fantastic in handling every challenge she has faced, whether it was difficult conversations with parents requiring grace and kindness, or being poised under pressure and supporting students in need. Without question, this innovative, organized, and efficient superstar has made a dramatic impact on Davis Magnet and Newport-Mesa school community. Congratulations, Davis Magnet School psychologist, Carly Koningsfeld.
I will.
One more
What-
picture.
Special guest today for her mom flew in from Seattle.
Will all of our superstars please come forward? All right. Superstars, come forward up here, please.
Superstar recall?
Yeah. Be a comet, come back. Oh, well, there you go.
Aren't they great?
I know, that's so cool. Smile for all the cameras. The paparazzi are here. Well, before I dismiss you to go to recess, we recess a lot. We do recess, it's a school thing. Before I recess you out to the courtyard to celebrate our superstars, we have one more celebration to do.
Two more.
I had to,
Are we doing 2 more?
we have 2 more? Yes, but those are after. Those are after. Do you have more to say?
Oh, I just wanted to just really thank the committee, if that's okay. There's a committee of hardworking employees here who come and review. We had 52 nominations, so it does take quite a
Wow.
bit of time to make sure that we're giving them all their due. And also just to thank V. Esther Caldwell and Stephanie Beck, who also helped put all this together, and to congratulate our 2018-19 superstars. Thank you so much.
Yay, superstars. And one of my duties as president, I found out, was to be able to give out our service pin distribution. One of our board members has a combined years of working for Newport-Mesa of 30 years.
Wow.
Michelle, no, I'm just kidding. I just thought, congratulations to Martha Floor. You get your crystal pin. She worked for Newport-Mesa as an employee before she was on the board, so very exciting. Oh, close up. Are you ready for your close?
Show me this needs to come off.
Thank
we can recess out to the courtyard to celebrate our superstars. And we will be back in 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, so at 6:39. We are back to work again. That was fun. All righty, at this time, I would like to do something out of order, if you're okay with this, because we have some of our students here that are even further down on the agenda. But will we kind of punt with doing the City of Newport Beach Youth Council program report now? Are we okay with that, Mrs. Yelsey? Are you good with that? Mr. Alexander, are you okay with that? Perfect. Come on down at this time.
How's everybody doing? Bryson Alexander with the City of Newport Beach Recreation Department. Just want to thank you guys for having us. In a minute, I'm going to turn it over to our representative from the Mayor's Youth Council. It is a group of students in Newport, 5 different schools that basically are engaged in local politics. And throughout the school year, they do an internship, and they also do community service projects. But we want to thank our mayor, Diane Dixon, and council members as well. They're very supportive of this program. And it really gives what we do is we take our 13 students and we sprinkle them amongst our departments, and they get an in-depth look at how the city is ran inside and out. So, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chloe, and she's going to take you through a little presentation. So, Chloe, you're up. Yeah, stand right there.
I might need to. There we go.
It picks up really well, so as long as you're close,
Okay.
you're good.
And then to change slides. Right here? Okay. So I had the pleasure of partaking in the Mayor's Youth Council of Newport Beach at City Hall this year. And so I'm just going to explain a little bit of what we do and like what our mission is and what we've done this year through our community. So as the Mayor's Youth Council, our mission involves 3 main things. It's education, service, and outreach. So we would like to think that we are the future leaders of our city and partaking in local government, current issues, organizing community service projects, and just considering the concerns and ideas of the community by talking to people through our community and getting to work with mentors in our community. So I worked with the head of community development and communications, Mary Losi, and our other interns worked with the different areas like the police department, fire department, so different areas. And these are, and we have a few of our interns in the back. So you can see harbor department, senior services, community development, harbor, library, city manager, and these are just some of the things that they, projects that they worked on. So visiting, building projects, dock maintenance, bookkeeping, all through the city of Newport Beach. So I, through mine, got to work with the, with Mary Losi, in community development for communications. So flyers for the city and like local events and stuff like that. So that was really exciting. Got to work with graphics and all that kind of stuff. And the trolley on Balboa is running this summer. So I'm going down there tomorrow and I'm gonna pass out little bags and stuff like that. So just little things. And this year's service, we did a fire drive for the LA County fires. The beginning of the year, swept through all of Malibu, and it was devastating. So for the families in LA County, we created little packages with clothes, toys, gift cards, things like that, and we just got truckloads full and sent them up there. Wow. This was the flyer that was actually created by a couple of our interns, and we sent those out all over Newport just to get the word out. Spirit Run is another one. We go down there in the morning with the shirts and kind of just pass out water. Then we also did some individual products, so things like the trolley or doing like harbor cleanup and service like that. So our goals for the future is following through with project ideas that we started this year, keeping in contact with our mentors. If they need any help with anything moving forward, we're always there. Making connections that involve other interns, so as a group, really advocating for our community. We think that it's really important that the youth get involved with our community because we have new ideas that we can bring to the table and fresh perspectives. And just continuing with our involvement in the program. Next year, our seniors are obviously moving on to college, but if you still have high school, we'd like to continue with the program. Thank you so much.
Mrs. Yelsey?
I think we have a busy student, so I think really our senior is just Izzy, right? So Izzy is, I'll take the rest and hand them to Seer. Izzy's the only one tonight.
Oh.
Izzy, you can come on up. You're good to go. Anything else from us?
And I just wanted to say something because the Youth Council has been going on for many years now. I think all of us know that. But this year, and I just want to commend Brayson on this, he changed the structure of the Youth Council. It used to be there would be probably 40 or 50 kids who would sign up.
About 50, 55 kids.
Okay.
But it wasn't just me. There's great young student Marbella was
Well,
big.
right. Marbella really helped out on this.
But yes.
And what they did, and, you know, anything like that, some students come regularly, some don't, some participate more, some don't. And they changed it this year so that it would be a more engaging program for everyone. So the people who wanted to be involved had to apply. They went through a process. And then they are much more involved in the projects they've done this year. As you heard, that they spend a lot more time in specific areas. But I couldn't go to all the meetings this year because they happen when we have our meetings now. But I did go to one where Mayor Dixon spoke to them, but not only did she speak to them, they spoke to her about issues. And all I can say is after listening to these students, I really hope after they go away to college, that they come back in our community because they definitely would be great assets to Newport Beach. So congratulations to all of you, and thank you so much.
Thank you. And we are now back up to, those of you that are keeping score, we are back up to number 11 for our student board members. Final reports. Mr. Murphy.
Hi,
Bless you.
my name is Isaiah Murphy. I'm from Costa Mesa High School. So in terms of academics, we are now finally done with AP testing and have moved on to SBAC testing. It never ends. And tomorrow, our top students from 9th to 11th grade are going to be recognized in our theater for their academic achievements this year. And our seniors will have a separate awards night on Tuesday, June 18th in our theater as well. In terms of athletics, our baseball team made it to CIF this year and placed second. Big accomplishment. I believe Mr. Bauermeister said it was best since 1962. So, big deal.
Big deal.
And in terms of past events, our Delta students just got back from their trip to San Francisco and the surrounding areas. They toured colleges like UC Berkeley and Stanford. I wish I could have gone to that trip, but I heard it was pretty amazing. And the initial round of senior exit projects finished this past week. And a good majority of us did pass, and for those who did not pass, we'll be representing during our senior week, which is the last week of school. And in terms of upcoming events, our middle school bands, orchestras, and guitar classes will be performing in our theater this upcoming Thursday, and our prom is going to be this Saturday from 7 to 10:30 at the Coteau Valley Country Club.
Nice. Very
That is
nice.
all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Torres, we're getting formal tonight.
Hi everyone, my name is Rafael Arias Torres. I represent Newport Harbor High School. Okay, ASB hosted a culture night last Thursday where we had many different types of cuisines from around the world: Persian, Egyptian, Italian, Mediterranean, etc. At the event, we also had a talent show where students performed, and it felt good knowing that many cultures were represented that night and everyone was having a fun time. I saw it as a symbol of unity among all the sailors that were there. The Inclusion Council which is made up of a bunch of community leaders, staff members, and also students, is excited to announce the first annual Gender Empowerment Summit. They have been planning this event since the beginning of the school year, and they're hoping it will be an impactful experience for a lot of students. Its primary focus is empowering female and LGBTQ students to pursue and exceed in leadership positions, but is open to any students who want to attend. The event is also free. The event will be taking place inside of the Hartfield Play Studio in Costa Mesa this Saturday from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And teachers nominated people who they think would be who would benefit from this experience. This Thursday is our spring rally. Our prom's theme is 70s theme, so we're going with that 70s show kind of theme. So most of our senior class will be decked out in 70s gear for the rally because we're hosting. We'll also be congratulating our seniors who will be graduating at the rally with a senior walk. Prom will be taking place on June 8th at the Arroyo Trabuco Country Club. We're having a live student band perform, many photo booth stations, and much more. I'm really excited. And I just want to say thank you for letting me come and give all these reports. It's been an honor, and I'm going to really miss Newport-Mesa. I know I'm going to be coming back in some way. So, yeah, thank you so much.
You'll be missed.
Thank you. You will all be missed. Miss Neary.
Good evening. I am Jennifer Neri, and I am representing Estancia High School. For our academic updates as well, we are doing SBAC for all the juniors and senior projects. We got done with day 1. Unfortunately, I present tomorrow. And we have awards night for the seniors June 5th at Estancia High School. Also, we have our academic assembly June 7th, and we are focusing on ending the year strong, according to Mr. Hall. And then we don't have any athletic updates just because we don't have any sports right now. And our pool construction is making progress right now, even though it did get a bit noisy during AP testing. So they did try to tell them, oh, tone it down, but I was like, the machine is the one controlling the noise. And then we also had recognized 15 students last week at the ROP Awards night. And then prom will be June 1st at the mansion, and our theme is the Gatsby, so it goes with the venue.
Fun.
And then our graduation is June 20th. So
Thank you.
17 more days.
Fabulous. Thank you so very much.
Well, I just wanted to mention, Jennifer's not exactly leaving. Her post, she'll be on one of the banners for one of our character awards, so it's going to hang in the hallway.
So when mom misses you, she can come here and look in the lobby, and there you are. Miss Dimitrik.
Good evening. I'm Lucy Dimitrik, representing Early College High School. Our school just completed submitting a self-study to AVID that may have us reach the status of being an AVID High School of Distinction for the first time ever. So we are very excited about that. Currently, 70% of our students at ECHS are enrolled in AVID, so they are AVID students, and their mission is to, of course, be prepared for college readiness and success in the global society. However, AVID instructional strategies exist throughout all of our classes, taught at Early College High School. Last Wednesday, we held our annual awards night in which we recognized over 90 students. It was a very long night. For their excellence in academics, character, and community service, we'd like to thank both Ms. Black and Ms. Snell for attending our ceremony. It was very nice to see a few familiar faces. Last week was also when college courses ended and our high school second semester final exams began. Thankfully for seniors, that is over already. But we only have 2 more days of school left before we are ending the school year on May 30th.
So jealous.
Yeah. The biggest upcoming event is, of course, our 10th graduation ceremony that will occur this Thursday at 3:30 p.m. at the OCC OCC Robert B. Moore Theater. We know that many of you will be attending, so we are very glad to see you. I will be speaking, so you might see a few tears shed, just letting you know in advance.
From us.
Yes.
We'll be missing you as well.
Yeah. Graduates will then have the opportunity to go to grad night on May 31st, and we will be attending both the Disneyland and California Adventure Parks for the 4th straight year. So we are very excited about that. Lastly, we are proud of our class of 2019, as over half of our class will be attending a 4-year college or university this fall, with several starting out as sophomores. 42% of our class earned a non-weighted cumulative GPA of 3.5 or higher, while over 10% of our soon-to-be graduates earned a perfect 4.0 GPA in all college courses taken at UCHS. Sadly, this is my last board report, but I would like to thank you guys for the pleasure that it has been to speak and to represent my school over the past year or two. So thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Snell, do we think we can get them all together for a photo op?
So I'm so proud of you. You all did so well. You were very committed. You were here on a continuing basis, and you took any and all suggestions, and you're the cream of the crop. And it's just so great to see you, and I look forward to hearing what you do in the future. So I'm going to call you up and give you your certificate. You can stand up there, but tell everybody where you're going. So we start with Isaiah.
I mean home? No.
Where are you speaking?
I'm going to UC Berkeley.
I predict politics for you, too.
Neuropsychology, right? Neuropsychology.
I'll be going to Northeastern University.
In Boston.
And Jennifer. You're attached to someone. Okay, there you go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I am going to UC Berkeley.
And Lucy.
Thank you. I will be attending OCC next fall.
I went to their awards. She was, there's always those students that are on stage, like, just sit up there. And I think we're all that way, too. I'm going to thank, even though he's not here, Alex Kermani, Corona Del Mar, and
Estefania
Aguilera from Back Bay.
You have to get the words in the back.
No disrespect, try not to get the heads.
Yeah, right.
I want to.
We'll see you
I
at
would love to give
graduation.
them one last task, and that would be to
Oh,
write
you got homework?
Only because, it's so important that we really value your input, and how could we make your job better? What insights, what would improve the process from our standpoint? What do we need to, help you with, leadership, whatever it is? If you could just write a short paragraph on suggestions on how to make the position.
senior project will
a student board member, how to make that position even more meaningful would be really great. Before you graduate.
Lucy, you're kind of excused.
Yeah.
Just one more thing to do.
One more thing to do.
No, but we're really proud of you, and we
Very
really
proud.
appreciate your service.
We do.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Thank you.
And as your prize, if you'd like to, you may leave at any point from now on that you would like to leave, because other than Lucy, you guys have finals and things to study for, and
Yeah.
it's sunny
And the
out
SBAC,
still.
yeah.
SBAC, that's right, boy,
They
we
don't
want a
have
good
SBAC,
showing.
do they?
So, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of all our hearts. All right, Mrs. Lank.
Good evening, President Matoye, Dr. Navarro, board members, and guests. First, I want to apologize for me being MIA, but my third son, graduated from college in New York. So, anyways, okay, what I want to report about is this year's California State PTA Convention was very inspirational, and it was a hoot. The past president, now Diana McDonald, she was so powerful, dynamic, and really entertaining. this was the 4th convention that I've been to, but by far, just her presence, just the organization, it was just so powerful. Past generations of PTA advocacy include kindergarten child labor laws, the hot lunch program, seatbelt laws, which I didn't realize that, juvenile justice system, just to name a few. Okay, that was really inspirational to see all of the displays about her presentation. This is what she displayed. But in regards to legislation, I really want some key bills that PTA does support are SB 328, which is the late start, SB 347, which is the simple warning label. And I want to elaborate a little bit on that. I went to a workshop where the bill writer was there, and he wants labels, especially like on soda bottles. There's 20 ounce of Coke, 16 little packets of sugar in there. You know, I was just amazed at all this, and you know, the Gatorade and all that. And he says, you know what? It's just water and milk. Water and milk is the best thing. Anyway, so he wants warning labels on all this stuff. So PTA is supporting that. And AB 428, which is the special education.
Yes.
Also, drum roll, the results of the national PTA reflections were announced at convention. And I'm so honored and pleased that to say that Grace O'Brien from Newport Harbor High School was the National Merit of Excellent winner in the dance category.
Wow.
Huge. But also our very own little Zara. Zara was from Adams, and he was one of the 7, I believe it was 7 up there to showcase his short film on stage. Wow. In front of, there was about 1,000 attendees at convention. So it was huge. It was great. And I was just so honored, and I'm still just very touched to be part of such a talented, creative district. And, you know, it's kudos to everybody. These kids are just wonderful. So I hope that next year, though, more schools, PTA boards, teachers, and school board members maybe attend the inspirational educational conventions, because next year it's going to be in Riverside. A beautiful Riverside, I'm sorry, May 15th through the 17th. So it's locally.
When is it?
May 15th through the 17th.
That's delegate assembly for CSBA.
Okay, good to know.
And, you know, I can see what going, like I said, this is my 4th one that I went to, but I can see coming back from there how much it just like gave me a booster shot on what we do for the kids and why we do it and the passion. And I understand that some of the schools, you know, the parents have children and they have jobs, and I understand all that. But you know what? If it's in Riverside next year, I'm hoping that we have more of our unit representation there. I really do. I think the schools really need it. I think the difference now will be, you know, with foundations and PTA, I feel, my personal opinion is we're losing sight of what PTA really does. And that's why I wanted to mention what we do, the kindergarten laws, the seatbelt laws. It's advocating for all children. And I don't know, I'm going off on a tangent now. Anyways, in closing, I want to also mention that on June 3rd is our last Harbor Council meeting, and we're going to be having a big breakfast meeting. We've invited the outgoing president and the incoming PTA president, along with a few of the executive board members. And I have about 50 people that have already RSVP'd, but a lot haven't, but we'll have enough food. Anyways, I want to, I invited them because I plan on sharing many of the ideas for fundraising and family engagement and inclusivity along with many other inspirations from convention. You know, I'll have to say today, okay, when I was at convention, there's the vendor row, and you walk around, you see a lot of the same stuff, you know, Scholastic and, you know, See's Candy and stuff like that. Well, I went and grabbed a bag of, I talked with this person, I grabbed a bag of the caramel corn popcorn, and I went and listened to a workshop or whatever, and I opened the popcorn, I'm eating it, and I'm like, oh, this is good. So I went back and I signed up, and I asked for a starter kit for each of our schools.
Oh, wow.
I came home today to my front porch. There's huge boxes on my front porch. My husband is like, what is all that? I said, popcorn. So I plan on giving those out at the meeting on June 3rd also. Get them out of my house. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Can we come to that meeting?
I like it.
Want me to bring them in?
Thank you, Julie.
Sorry, I wanted to just
sure.
share too, because, you know, we apologize for promoting, promoting going to convention nowadays, because parents are really split between foundations and boosters and working full-time and, and taking their own children to all the different activities and whatnot.
But the fact is, the membership has gone down.
Right.
And the thing is people, we don't want to give the families the impression that, oh, join PTA because we're going to rub you and do something,
Right.
But their membership gives PTA as a whole a voice on passing these bills, on bringing legislation, on all that. So their voice is heard. It's empowered to do that.
Well, 22 years ago, I went to convention literally kicking and screaming all the way, because I was, full-time working mother, students, and I served on 9 boards in Newport-Mesa. And I felt I was doing my due diligence, but I have never been so inspired and educated. And the other thing is it's really nice to go and be with people of like minds, and that's the other part, you get really inspired. And so I'll be happy to send out cheerleading, notes for next year. But I think it conflicts every year with because I serve on California School Board's delegates and for Orange County and Ms. Floor, and now Shar was just elected by our peers in Orange County as well. And so I think it's that week, so we should probably compare notes and, so, because it at least go for one day since it's so close.
Fortunately, there's 4 other board members that aren't.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to sign them up for anything that they, can or can't do.
PTA convention is the best. They have so many great speakers, and it's not just for PTA members,
Very
We
legislative.
have Celia Jaffe was a 4th District president, and she
Yeah.
was just installed as California State PTA president. So
And she's a
Was
former-
she?
And she's a former board member.
Oh, and she's a former board member,
Yeah.
she was just
Wow.
installed, yeah.
Nope, it's
Very
great.
cool.
Well, I like Riverside.
It's got some great parts.
I like Monterey better, though.
Yeah, Monterey's better. Yeah.
It was nice. We went up a little early because my son lives up there. But all of us ladies, we met Wednesday morning, and we had lunch on the 18th hole of Pebble Beach.
It's the only way I would get to the 18th hole of Pebble Beach. Thank you so very, very much. Mr. Lee Sung, you can exchange some thoughts with us.
This is so fabulous. Wow.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I'm honored to report to you a thought exchange. In fact, our first district-wide thought exchange related to school-related teen stress, which obviously is a very important topic for all of us and all of our students. And I'll give you a little more details about how we conducted this thought exchange, but I'm here to give you some of the results and some of the actions that we have already taken as a result of the thought exchange. So first of all, this is not a unique problem to Newport-Mesa. Dr. D'Agostino shared a couple of statistics on a national level and found that 51% of teens reported stress all the time or on a daily basis. And of those that reported stress, a good majority of them reported that school was a likely source of that stress. Even though there's other types of stressors, family, social, world events, but school is a very important topic affecting our teens. I know that we all use the word stress a lot, and we use it for many things: when things don't go right, when we are anxious about something. And even when I was watching the basketball playoff games, I felt stress, quadruple overtime. So I thought I would include in the presentation a bit about what exactly is stress. So I did look it up, and a very general definition is the change or pressure in the environment. Okay, but what does that really mean in this context? And so I dug a little deeper and found that stress is a physical, chemical, or emotional factor that causes bodily or mental tension. And that's really what we're talking about, are the things that not just bother us or we're anxious about, but things that actually can affect our bodies and are in a short term as well as a long term. So here is another slide that, again, putting this in context before we get into the results. And I asked myself the question, is stress good for teens? Because I had heard some studies in the past. Isn't this part of growing up? So I found this expert in teen stress, and here's a couple of quotes of some of her research. Adolescence is an important time to learn and deal with stress because teens can then deal with it better in college and in their adult lives. She also says a little stress and in moderation can be helpful to high schoolers in so many ways, but she says too much stress has many effects on the body and mind. And that's really, I think, our concern as adults when we make decisions and take actions. Are we doing things that are contributing really to the point where kids are affected in their health? So let's go on now to the thought exchange that we conducted earlier this year. So for those that may not be familiar with thought exchange, this is a new tool that we brought into Newport-Mesa. It's a fabulous tool. This one was done for all secondary parents, staff, and students. So they were invited to participate in this thought exchange. And very simple concept with thought exchange is individuals can respond to this open-ended question, which in this case is what are some of the impactful contributors and ways we could work to reduce school-related stress for our students, okay? And so with this thought exchange, people contribute ideas, and that is then shared with other members who are participating who get to view those thoughts and ideas, and then they get to rate them from a star from 1 to 5. So if they agree with it, if that thought resonates with them, they'll give it a higher ranking. If they disagree with it or don't like it, they could put a 1 star. So based on that, a score is tabulated for each thought that's exchanged. Now, in this exchange, we had 945 participants. That includes students, parents, and staff, 879 thoughts. And look at this, 20,821 rankings. So those participants looked at the ideas and then rated them 1 to 5 stars. So even though we always would like to have more participation because we have a lot of parents and a lot of students and a lot of staff, at least we had good representation amongst our areas of the district as well as both students, parents, and staff. So now we'll get into some of the thoughts. And even though there's many, many thoughts, I thought I would choose some of the top thoughts and try to cover some of the different bases with that. So this is one of the top thoughts coming from a staff member. And this had a ranking of a 4.3, 5 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, so 4.3. And the comment that was shared by this person that was ranked high was value all students. Students may be relieved to know that their value isn't always based on their academic social successes. So I thought that was a very good one. And then another one that was also highly ranked was climate of kindness. It reduces anxiety and social pressure. More thoughts from the staff? I feel we need to take the time to build relationships with students. Teach them to be present, put away the phones, and have face-to-face conversation so that they feel they are valued and appreciated instead of feeling like they don't measure up to what they see on Instagram. Okay, 4.2. One more thought from a staff member: more sleep, less screen time, meaningful homework. All the data is there. Kids aren't sleeping. Screen time makes them less happy. The problem is that the adults haven't demonstrated the will to fix it. 4.1. Okay. Now from the parents. Here are some of the top thoughts from parents. The number one thought, we're very similar. It's make sure what is on the test and quiz is explained. They seem to stress about wondering what's on the test. And the other one that's related is don't put questions on the test if they haven't been taught in class. Now, I want to put this in context, okay? Again, keep in mind, this is one person's thought that was exchanged, and others had resonated with that at some level. But what Thought Exchange, their company, and this tool is designed to do is to take these thoughts and stimulate deeper conversation. So we shouldn't jump to any conclusions with this because we don't know what the context is here. Okay? Now that one, don't put questions on the test if they haven't been taught. Now, that could be the fact that we no longer teach facts and regurgitate it on a test. Okay? Is it an application issue that we're teaching a concept's not being applied? Well, I haven't seen that question before, but is it the expectation that they should be applying that? So hopefully people don't feel like they're blamed or attacked or anything like that, but it stimulates conversation. And that's what this is meant to do. So another comment regarding parents, or from parents, is have finals completed before Christmas break. This will allow students a real break over the holidays where they don't have to study and stress about upcoming finals. Okay, and I know that point has already generated a lot of discussion. I know Corona Del Mar has made some adjustments there at their site. Teachers knowing this and hearing from the students through Challenge Success and wanting to make a difference here right away. Another parent thought is acknowledge the ridiculously overwhelming college application process, right? And social media stressors that are new to this generation. These two stressors have grown exponentially and detract from a student's ability to focus and do work in school, increase anxiety, depression, etc. Okay? Now, normally I'm looking at the top thoughts, but I always want to look at the bottom thoughts, just to see what was down at the bottom, right? So I'm going to start from the bottom and go up on the student one. So the lowest thought on the student conversation was this.
I'm not stressed.
So,
okay.
This person who shared their thought that, hey, I'm not stressed, obviously didn't resonate with people. You need to be just as stressed as we are. This is what was going on in their mind. But you know, here's the thing. You know, some people would say, well, you know, this person is not applying themselves enough. They need to do more. Maybe they need to gain a little stress. But maybe this person has their act together and has really done a great job to manage their life. So again, you can't just judge. It does create some conversation there. But I thought that was interesting. The top thought for students was less homework. Because I have homework for like every class, so we know it's from a student, right? And it stresses me out when I have family plans and have to decline because I have a lot of homework. Okay? So that should stimulate some very good discussion coming from students. Test corrections for points should always be offered. Why does learning have to stop at a test that may have been especially challenging when the student actually understands the concepts? 4.3. Need to be able to understand student schedules. Teachers need to understand that being a high school student isn't easy. Lots of us have extracurricular activities, 4.3. And finally, no homework on breaks. This is important because breaks are meant for students to relax, spend time with loved ones, and take some time off so they are refreshed and happy. So here's just a few of the thoughts. Certainly I'm going to share the full report with the board. We will post this on our website. But hopefully this will create not blame or pointing fingers, but deeper understanding of our students. And that kind of leads me to the now what. And I shared this earlier with the board, that there's three words, three things that we want to really look at when we analyze this, this information. First is to build awareness. Second is compassion and action. And the awareness piece should start sounding like this, like I didn't realize, okay? And that's a time for reflection. Trying not to point fingers and blame and making excuses. The compassion part, though, is the next step with that, is I want to know more. I want to understand so I can do something. So it's not just understanding, okay, you know, I hear what they're saying. Now it's taking a much more proactive approach with this. So focusing on the listening, understand, deeper engagement with students, finding out what this means, the stories behind some of these thoughts, and of course to build empathy. Leading to the last area, which is I can and will make a difference by. And everybody, whether you're a parent, whether you're a staff member or administrator, can make a difference here with those first two areas being built as a foundation. And changing or making a difference one interaction at a time, one decision at a time, and so on. All right, I have been engaged in this endeavor with many people. Dr. Jocham has assisted me with this, Dr. Baumeister assisted me with this, but I want to bring up three individuals who have taken an active role in some of the next steps in terms of taking action, starting with Dr. Phil DiAgostino, followed by Dr. Shaka and Dr. Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Lee-Sung. President Matoye, Vice President Fleur, members of the board, Dr. Navarro, and Cabinet. As you know, these kinds of conversations wouldn't be as substantive or robust if it wasn't for input from our students. And we have an excellent mechanism in the Superintendent's Student Advisory Committee, who have been very active all year long in giving our district leadership information and their perspective on a variety of issues. And so for 3 of the 9 meetings that we had, 3 of those meetings were dedicated to reviewing this information, meeting in small groups, and then finally coming up with some statements that we would like to sunshine today for you. What we did was ask the members of the Superintendent Student Advisory, or SSAC as we call it, to give a summary of what was important to them. There was a lot of data here, as Mr. Lee-Sung mentioned, and so what we asked is if you could declare in this data things that were important to you, things that you feel should be considered by the decision makers, by the influencers, by the stakeholders, what would they be? And this is what they came up with. What's important to you? I'm not going to read through all of these, but just make a couple that were important, because at the last Superintendent Student Advisory, I asked them, I said, I'm coming up here to give a presentation to the Board of Education. What do you want me to highlight? Teacher communication on homework was important to them. Academic and mental health resources available was really important to them, and how to leverage and use resources at their schools was very important to them. Obviously, all of these things were summarized from all of the data, but those 3 seemed to really stand out. There seems to be a strong interest in looking at homework, mental health, and academic resources, especially in the areas of academic support, mental health supports, and then utilizing a variety of different resources on the campus. And with that, I guess I will pass it on to Drs. Haley and Shaka.
Yes, so earlier you heard this is designed to stimulate conversation, and really that's what it's started to do at our level. And we were fortunate enough to be able to lead at a K-12 principal meeting a conversation not only with our secondary principals, but also our elementary principals through our zones, to really look at some of the thoughts that were coming out here. And really, a lot of the ahas were coming from our elementary cohorts within our zone, kind of looking at, hey, how is this affecting our work as we're presenting them to middle and then on to high school? And again, what does this look like? And again, stimulates that conversation, as you heard Russell mention earlier. And then for us as actions, it becomes conversations with our school leadership teams. So you're into your ASB to start to begin discussions with them. I was fortunate enough to observe the superintendent's advisory on our campus that day, where the student discussion was led, bless you. And just the power of those conversations, and then that starts to migrate to our department chairs as we're really looking at this, as what does that work mean for us as we go into the summer, and what action steps can we start to consider as we come into the fall through our professional development to help with that balance.
And again, as site principals, sometimes we look right to the action part of information, and to really slow down this process and figure out how we want to operationalize this information. Really spend some time making meaning of what it tells us, rather than just taking the comments at face value, sometimes decontextualized. You know, my first response is, who's that 1.9 rating kid who's not stressed, and how can I give him more work? But really backing up and saying, again, I want to figure out a system and a process to make meaning of this information. So that's going to be our next step moving forward. I'd like to hand it over to Russell.
So just a couple of final thoughts. First of all, this data, as you can see, at the principal level has been discussed, student level, cabinet level has been discussed, and also some of the advisory groups with the parents. And that's what I think this data is going to do, is generate first the awareness to compassion, and then now we need to start taking some action. And just a few of these, I believe, will really make a difference in the lives of kids if we just take care of a few of these. And that's where we're at. So just a couple of thoughts, that this is just one data point and must be considered alongside research, best practices, and the work that's already being done by our staff and agencies that support students. And then, like I mentioned earlier, our goal isn't to shield students from all stressful situations, but rather to support them to become healthy adults with resiliency skills, grit, and positive response to failures and challenges. So we do need to take some actions, we do need to build awareness, but we're not protecting them from all of these things, because that's what they need to build the skills to be healthy and strong and successful adults.
Before I call on you, one of the things that appealed to me when Thought Exchange was first brought to the district was that we often have individuals that are not on this side of the dais that don't feel heard. And this gave an opportunity for so many more people to chime in and respond. And in the thoughts with the groups that you had, did the groups feel heard? Because just because you say, boy, this is great and this is terrible, it doesn't mean tomorrow we're going to stop all homework on every Friday night. And that's not necessarily the response, but were you heard, and were you part of the solution and not just complaining about the problem?
Right. I think one of the beauties of this tool is that they're sharing ideas, but then everyone's ideas are then shared with the group. So those folks who participated didn't just see their own thought, they saw the thoughts of everybody else. And I think that's the power of this tool, whether we're using it for teen stress or anything else. And a plain old-fashioned survey will give us a number or a statistic at the end, but it doesn't get into the ideas. And keep in mind, this is open-ended. They could have gone anywhere with this.
And a plain old-fashioned survey doesn't elicit 900 responses either.
Yes, exactly.
Mrs. Snell.
I was just wondering about the life skills. I was interested that the student advisory came up with the idea that they would like to have some training on life skills. And when I was in school, life skills were a little different than I'm sure they would be now. And so I just wanted some elaboration on what the students meant by life skills.
So there was a lot of conversation among the students about just practical types of things, like balancing a checkbook or
making a budget.
How to use a dishwasher was something that, how to wash one's own dishes, in fact. You know, things that their brothers and sisters who have gone on to college say, gee, I wish I would have had this, or I wish I could have learned that. And, you know, unfortunately, as you know, we are driven by a set of mandates that come to us from the state legislature when it comes to curriculum and the scope of academics and what we should cover. So I think there's just a lot of there were a lot of aspirational conversations, like what if we could do this and what if we could do that? And then just briefly to your point, Ms. Matoye, I think that the students did feel heard. The superintendent student advisory has been an excellent instrument to get student input on issues, and it's couldn't be a more dedicated group of kids. So.
Yeah, I am a huge proponent for a life skills, for years, since I've been on the board, because I think that's really missing. Kids don't know how to do anything that's life skill. And, but a life skill is also managing your stress, so I wasn't sure.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know how that could be incorporated in one of the classes that they must
Some of the
take.
things that are happening on our campuses, Link Crew is becoming very popular on our campuses. As you know, Estancia has Link Crew. Newport Harbor's going to be starting Link Crew next year. You have the freshman seminar program at Costa Mesa High School, which I think has been successful as an orientation curriculum. I think there is, especially with the 8-period block, and when we move to a collegiate calendar, I think those things will only allow us to further develop those lines of curriculum.
Absolutely. How to, even if it's just some sort of a one-shot class, what you need to know before you go to college. Well, not everything, but you know what I mean, like setting
Everything
up a
outside
budget.
of the classroom.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I'm sorry?
To address a letter.
That should be handled in third grade. I'm just saying.
Exactly. There's so many things. Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Oops, sure.
I just want to follow up on a comment with what Board Member Snell made, and I think it's insightful that we don't need to have it in a regular curriculum. We can do seminars. We can do we can create podcasts or, little video vignettes for these types of things. But I think to rely always on a classroom teacher to do it when we have so much focus on them doing everything else. And, society looks to schools to fix a lot of problems. But, we can probably look at it in an unconventional, non-traditional manner and maybe come up with, a seminar system and have them create some kind of opportunity for this.
Great idea. They love podcasts and
Do you love podcasts?
YouTubes and all that stuff.
Yeah, if we can make a YouTube video, we've got it nailed.
Probably on YouTube already.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
Mrs.
you're
Yelsey.
probably right.
Yeah, I just like a little clarity on this because I think thought exchange is a great way to gather information, but it still is online. So when we say people feel like they've been heard, maybe the student advisory, and that's 15 people, I don't know. But it's not all the students. So when we go to the now what's type thing, how are we getting all of this out to the various groups?
So first of all, the results will be shared in a very interactive, user-friendly method on our website. Okay, so anybody can look at that and they'll be able to see all of the data on there. The other thing that we can do is generate a report specific to that particular school site. So we thought that would be very useful. They could see all, but they can also see, because they had a reply with demographic information, what zone they were from. So we can share that with them. So Costa Mesa, Dr. Haley will be able to look at just Costa Mesa data. There might be differences, but I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of similarities. And then they can use that to engage in conversations at various levels. And what Dr. Shaka and Dr. Haley will do, leading the principals with this, is starting to generate some best practices, what we would like all schools to be able to do with this data. But really, it's going to come from the staff, from the student leaders, from the parents. And just like we're doing at the district level, we would like them to do that at the site level. And that's where really, I think, meaningful change occurs.
Yeah, so it's got to be widespread.
Right. And folks that participated in this, when they engage in these conversations, they go, hey, I wrote that.
Right.
Talk about connected to this. I think that will really be well received.
Mrs. Flood.
Yeah, thank you. A couple of things. One is, I'm particularly struck with the quote from Dr. Mary Alford, who wrote that adolescence it's a time to learn and deal with stress. And I'm highlighting the word learn, because the question is, for me, is there research on how you teach or provide opportunities for kids to learn how to deal with stress, whether it, and how to learn to deal with perseverance and grit and those. But then I'm particularly struck with the fact that these are skills that every young person needs to have, regardless of whether they go to college. And I found it interesting that the parents are more concerned about college, and the kids don't mention college at all. They're talking about just everyday life, homework, time with family. And so that was an interesting that they're not, college is not what they really want to focus on. They're focusing on the here and the now. And I think that's something that we in our generation, or even some youngers, has to realize that this is want to have it, get it now, quick and easy, and not a lot of perseverance and not a lot of self-delayed gratification, so to speak. And so
Students are nodding.
I was kind of interesting on that. Again, I'm back to where not everybody goes on our website. Not everybody, what's the percentage of parents that even go on School Loop? And so I don't like to have over the reliance of just that one medium to get the message out. I'm concerned
No,
about
I
parent
concur with you.
engagement.
I think there has to be several different types of mediums and opportunities to engage in this kind of conversation. Just like Dr. Navarro gave me the opportunity to discuss this with our parent advisory group.
Right.
I think principals should engage in these kind of conversations with their leadership groups and really dig into that. And then that will lead to, I believe, some form of action, okay? Whether it's an awareness campaign. I would love to see student leaders get engaged in this type of thing. And I have heard of some of our schools and schools everywhere that around AP test time or around finals times or other stressful times of the year, they will create this awareness. So collectively as a community, they're doing things to counteract knowing that there is a heightened level of stress. But simple policies, and there was one comment by a student says, I'm stressed that I can't go to the bathroom in my classroom. So hopefully that will generate a discussion about what is an appropriate bathroom policy. So I think a lot of good things will come out of it. There's so much rich information in here, and I agree with you, Ms. Flor, that we need to capitalize on this and share that, not just on our website, but in meaningful person conversations.
So I guess the big question that I want to know is, where are we going from here? I mean, we're still at the awareness step, sort of, and are we moving into the,
I believe we moved
in
in the compassion side,
Okay.
particularly with the actions that Dr. DiAgostino has done. Now that's engaging. Help me understand this. What is this? You're agreeing with this? Tell me a little bit more about it. But when principals start having these conversations at the school sites with their student groups, and this is where we have to allow them to utilize their expertise, their understanding of the school. How best can I use this data to make some change? And we also know by the work that's happening at Corona Del Mar with Challenge Success, there's some great activities that can be done that you can really get some great input and take some meaningful action. So, and that's another area, resource that we can tap into, is just the experience that Corona Del Mar has done this year.
Yeah, I think there's some important self-reflection to do also. I mean, I think teachers should know what students and parents are saying. I think parents should know what teachers and students are saying. I think students should know what parents and teachers are saying. There's obviously a disconnect between students and parents.
Yep.
There's a huge disconnect. I think that's glaring. And then what a great conversation we can have at each of our schools with our parent groups about that disconnect. I think that this is like any other data point. What questions does it raise? And so we'll probably ask our administrators and our leadership team here to figure out what are the questions that are coming out of this that are essential questions. And I think we talk about building critical mass, and I think this is a starting point for that. You know, here we have some information. What's valuable about this, it's not manipulated information. This is authentic information that's been authentically rated by those participants. And this is an opportunity to say, okay, this is not any kind of biased information. This is raw information. What can we learn from this, and what are our next steps? But I think it can create a critical mass for change in our schools. And I think Russell is right. This could have the same effect on all our schools that Challenge Success is having at CDM.
Mrs. Black.
I'm pretty much my, not questions or comments, or feelings about this. I have really strong feelings about this. And I got to have the opportunity to actually be in the room with Dr. D'Agostino, and we're both really good at pulling out the data, because going back to what you said, Dr. Navarro, well, what everybody said, we want to hear from the students that are in the trenches. And sometimes we have to coax them and let them know it's okay to talk about it, or, you know, and so they were all very excited on the, you know, the anonymous opportunity to do thought exchange. They came up with some great thoughts. And the skill thing is that life skills is checkbook, credit card, how to buy a home, and how do I save for, you know, going to college? Or do I need to? And how much, what is credit? And what's compounded interest? You know, so those were, you know, so like you said, that would be, you know, there's your 6 chapters and you can do it online. So, but I think, you know, they're starting to trust us. To be honest with you, I feel students are, you know, we keep drilling into them. We want to know. I think, you know, I think we need to make sure that we're transparent with them as well. And we share that data, because it is pretty common throughout our district, you know, and bringing these students together at the different high schools, and, you know, the students from, they go to the different high schools, they get to see the student body. I think it's very powerful for them to know that they don't live in the bubble. And so I just, you know, I'm very excited about it.
Other students that they're struggling with similar things that they are.
Right. They're very compassionate about their peers and empathetic, you know, and they will be the first ones to say, you know, gosh, how can we help, especially with mental health? We had a huge, you know, long discussions about that. So I think we're on the right track. So thanks for the effort. Appreciate it.
Mrs. Bartow.
Okay, so I had a couple questions. How do the students have, I know at some elementary schools they have like a news group, but I assume that the junior high and high school, they have like a similar news team among the students. How do the students get the news from other students?
I'm sorry, news?
So like at Heights, for example, they have Shark News and they do a report and everyone gets that email. And I know at high schools and junior highs, they have similar things. How does that work? Because I'm thinking, I would love to have this go to the students and have the students talk about it amongst themselves, instead of just saying, come to the district website, come to your school website. It's a conversation we really need them to be having, and we need to bring it to where they're watching. I don't know what that medium is at high schools and junior highs.
Right. So I think the power of using peers to draw other peers in to engage in is probably the best way. In fact, you know, I remember when we started this thought exchange, I actually had a couple of students. In fact, Raphael was in the introductory video to encourage people to participate. But at a school site level, that's what I'm hoping the principal, as being the catalyst of this, will engage their community. And when I say community, students, staff, and parents, say, how can we use this data to get the word out, to stimulate good discussion? Because I would like to see some parents step up and say, I'm going to share this in my newsletter.
Right, exactly.
And get more parents engaged, because they need to hear this message and reflect on maybe what they're doing from the home's perspective that's maybe contributing to the stress.
So powerful.
It is.
So do we have like a short link that we could to this? I'd just love to see something that's so easy that, you know, you can share with the community. Here's a email, go here, here's a short link, and then I feel like if you make it easy for people.
Right. Oh, we will. We will. And
So easy a
and that's
parent
the
can do
beauty of thought exchange. They have created just an incredible product that is so user-friendly and, I said, interactive. So anyone who's interested wants to really dive into these thoughts, they'll be able to sort this out by theme, by rank. They'll see if came from a student, from a staff, from a parent. So it really is, I think, a great tool.
Pretty powerful stuff.
Ms. Anderson.
So what is the timeline for rolling that out?
So we've already shared this with principals. As you know, our year is about ending. So we are going to really ask them at the beginning of next year to do something at their sites. So we're really looking at next year.
Okay, so over the summer, because for me, I think lots of students have free time over the summer. So if there could even be like a soft launch of it, when students have time to do something like that, I think that could be valuable.
It could be, absolutely.
What I see from these are students who are self-aware. They're looking for relational connection, emotional well-being, communication. Those are all soft skills that we could very quickly, it's not like an adoption process for curriculum. And so I think for me, I would like to see this as soon as possible. So we start out next year strong with some more information.
Dr. D, comment?
Just wanted to share that we had our last superintendent student advisory meeting last week. We're meeting next week with the advisors to launch a district-wide event. I don't think Mr. Lee-Sung was aware of this because we
didn't tell him.
Just because I didn't tell him, right? Exactly, it's my fault. But we are launching some kind of kindness week, something that's going to be done at all of the schools universally, being capped off with a beach cleanup in conjunction with the city. So there's a lot of things that are going to be happening next year, and that starts with a meeting with the ASB advisors next week between me and them. So just wanted to make you aware of that.
Thank you.
So.
The possibilities are endless. It seemed very ethereal when it was brought to us. This has made it very real. My only request is that maybe when we do this, we can move a little faster with it. And I mean, it took a year on one thought.
And I'd like to actually address that.
Okay.
I want to thank Mr. Lee-Sung for doing this. We talked about this in August, and this was our very, very first one that we did on a large scale. And so you're a pioneer, you know, and so you're really traveling through the Sierras in a snowstorm as you're making your way through. And I think enough isn't said about how he got a leadership team together, how he organized the information, how he worked with Thought Exchange, which we hadn't really worked with before. So this was a learning experience for your staff as well. And I agree that in the future, we'll be able to accelerate this. We are already doing smaller Thought Exchanges in small settings that are almost instantaneous. You can actually do a Thought Exchange in a meeting. Take your phone, you click on a QR code that showed up on there, and the questions come up, and people start answering, and within 15 minutes, you got the will of the group that's in the room. So there are other applications, but you're absolutely right. We did go slow, but it was our first one. We wanted to make sure we did it right. We wanted to make sure we did. And by the way, it was our first time. And how do you get the reflection? And what do you do with the reflection? And what is this tool for? I got to tell you, I think we have a good partner in the staff at Thought Exchange, because they help you think through all these things. And the question they came up really was a much better question that I think we had kind of brainstormed at the beginning. So yeah, I agree. We need to get better at this. This was our first one. There are districts who do this in a much quicker turnaround, but I think we'll be able to do that as the time comes up. But again, I want to thank Russell and his team for getting us through the first one.
Yes. And making sense of all the data. Thank you very much. Okay. Whew. Yes. Lots of work. Informal reports. Dr. Navarro.
I'm going to cheat a little bit because we have this incredible data that was given to me last week from our Public Information Office. And I always give this to you in a yearly report, but I'm really going to ask Annette to come up, who can give you a much better explanation of our metrics that our PIO office has accumulated this year, and has a great report to share with you. And I will pass mine down so you can all take a look at it.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, good evening, President Metoyer, members of the board, Dr. Navarro, cabinet, and guests that are left in the audience. Every year, my office, throughout the year, every month, we do metrics for all of the communication systems that we manage. We want to see what's going well, what's not working so well that we need to improve, and that will help us tailor communication via the various channels that we use. So just some of the things that I want to share with you is that our office has responded to more than 140 media inquiries this year. This is the first year that we are tracking that, though, so I can't compare it to anything else. News coverage, this is Dr. Navarro's favorite because it's a little unbelievable when I tell you that we have 95% favorable or neutral news coverage for our district. A lot of us, like the rest of the world, get stuck on those few negative stories because they're so negative. But the truth is 95% of our media coverage has been neutral or favorable, and since I've been at the district tracking it, that has been an increase of 15%. So even when we started tracking it my first year, it was, I think, at about 80%. So that's one thing to note. Some of us still do care about the pet of the week news. Written communications, whether it's messaging, talking points, or things that just happen to come up throughout the year that we need messaging for so that we're all communicating on the same page, whether it's a school principal, whether it's myself with media, or you with community members, we're all on the same page. We've developed 85 of those. Constant contact is what we use to communicate with our school community, beyond just our parents, but just our community as a whole. We have a 48% open rate, which is an increase of 10% from last year. Our Peach Jar flyer system, which is just our general informational flyers, has a 35% open rate, which is an increase from, it's a 30%. Math is not my strong suit, that's why I do public relations.
Okay, thank you. They read it.
Nope, it's about the same as last year. Facebook, we have 200 new followers this year. We have approximately 41,000 views, and we have about 14% engagement. Twitter, we have 500 new followers this school year, and we have about 112,000 views. So what we're noticing with Facebook and Twitter is we are posting less, but we're posting more purposeful information. So we're getting more likes, more mentions, more comments, more retweets, more shares. Other schools, other organizations are tagging us on their posts much more. So we're getting much more traction, even though we're posting less, because we're posting more purposeful information. And there's certain things that get more traction on Twitter versus Facebook, so we're cognizant of that. And then public records, we respond to about 100 a year. The good thing with public records, though, is for the past 2 years, we've gotten into a good streamlined process where our office takes them in. We work with executive staff to get the records, let us know what the response is, and respond. So we're getting a lot quicker with managing that process. So that's it.
Okay, Annette, before you leave, I just want to remind everybody that Annette wasn't here all year. You know, she brought Emma into the world, and she's a proud mommy. But we had a lot, so we were down. You know, and Matthew left earlier this year, so we were down, and luckily we had some outside help. But Adriana did a great job in during that absence, and so she came back. Did you ever fill Matthew's job?
So actually, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
For 4 months, our office was down from 3 people to just 1 person, and Adriana single-handedly managed the department, and I think she did a remarkable job. She interviewed for the position of communication specialist. We had more than 100 applicants, and she was by far, hands down, the absolute best. I joke a little bit that when I came on board, I hired the first communication specialist, and I had a difficult time choosing between Matthew and other candidates. At the time, I didn't know him very well, but he was the best one for the job, but that was a difficult choice. This one was not. She has been remarkable even now. And to be very honest, she's the reason these metrics are so wonderful. Even in an office of 1 by herself, she made this happen. I wasn't here. So she's the one that really looks at the metrics and makes sure that we're doing purposeful work, because we're always so busy, but at the end of the day, you're just busy doing what? So the question I always try to answer is, so what? You do all this stuff, what are we getting for it? And this is my proof of what we do in our office and always trying to get better at it.
So Adriana's the new.
So Adriana is a new communications specialist.
Yay!
Thank you for your support.
Send our congratulations. That's
Now we have to refill her job.
That's
Just-
right.
Yeah, it works. It's great, but it works. All righty.
Okay.
Well, hello. Hi, Jeff. You're the whole right side of our group.
Whoa.
He's giving you static.
Apparently.
Let's try that. So this is our informal report time? Okay. So anyway, it's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. I thought I would update you a little bit on May Revise and where the governor is at and the legislature. And so far, the governor is preparing for a recession, and the legislature has their whiskey glasses on, and they are preparing for the party to continue. And so with that, there's a number of things that are still outstanding, and they're fairly significant at this point in the game, which is interesting. For the local control funding formula, there's two proposals out for the cost of living, and one is 3.88%, and the other one's 3.26%. On a lot of dollars, that can be a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so that's a interesting thing. Another one is deposit into the Proposition 98 Rainy Day Fund. And again, that's a fund that helps stabilize the state. And for us as schools, that helps stabilize things. If you'll remember, the state had to borrow $10 billion from school districts. When the recession hit, the state had nowhere else to go, and we were their bank. And we had to deal with it because we could borrow the money, but the state could not. So that's important to us. Pension contribution rates, there are different proposals out on that right now, and we'll see where they end up on that. But again, that's very important to us. And then special education, there's two. Well, the governor's proposal for special education was not approved, and so we're not sure where that's going to end up. Hopefully, it'll end up with them providing funding across the board, not tied to concentration rates, those kinds of things. And then there's a different proposal on career technical education. And so with that, then, here we are. We're trying to put things together. We have a federal programming monitoring audit going on right now. There's a lot of tremendous, just a lot of work on that LCAP, which we will come to you with at our next meeting. And we're putting the budget together. And I'm always reminded at this time of year, we should do a thought exchange on board member stress, because you run a far-flung organization. You're looking at an all-funds budget next year of almost $500 million, and you impact so many lives. So and there's a lot going on right now. We got paving and roof maintenance going on, new fields, aquatic centers, performing arts centers, air conditioning, security fencing. And get this, instructional materials, next year you will spend almost twice as much than you have ever spent in the history of this district on instructional materials. So you have the pedal to the metal, and things are moving quite quickly.
Well, you have the new adoption.
There's somebody else's discussion. What are we spending our money on? But, wow, thank you.
Okay, I'd like to provide an update in regards to our summer engineering program and our summer music academy this summer. Both programs, the Summer Engineering Academy and Summer Music Academy, are going to be held at Ray Elementary School. They're going to run from July 8th through July 25th. The program will run for students from 8:30 to 12 o'clock, Monday through Thursday. The Summer Engineering Academy is open to current kindergarten through 6th grade students. We already have capped out at 490 students for the summer. And the model is going to be great this year. We're going to have one lead coach, 4 instructional coaches, and 36 teachers. And it's a fantastic co-teaching model because out of the 36 teachers, we have 18 classrooms. So it's an opportunity for our teachers to co-teach and really focus on the next generation science standards, and also receive some excellent coaching, both from the lead coach and the instructional coaches. So it's a great leadership model. It's a great model for teachers to work together, and it's a great model for teachers to support one another. So we're excited about that. And then also with Summer Music Academy, we already have 136 students signed up, and we're still taking applications. The model for our Summer Music Academy is going to be one lead coach, one instructional coach, and 10 teachers. So we're really excited with where we're at with that. And new for this year is we're going to have an administrative intern, and that person has already been selected. And she is Alice Formanek, who is a current teacher at Adams Elementary School. And she's already been doing a great job with Mr. Del Real, and also with the assistance of Claire Warner and a number of people getting through a lot of interviews and getting everything ready. We kind of refer to it as starting a new school in the middle of summer. So there's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes into it, but we're really excited to be able to offer this opportunity for our students this summer.
Thank you. Dr. B.
And I have our Human Relations Task Force update. And as you know, there are two separate strands. And one is the Human Relations Task Force Community Workshop. We'll have our second workshop tomorrow night at the Costa Mesa Senior Center. So if you come here, we will not be here. We're doing it in conjunction with the City of Costa Mesa, so it'll be at the Costa Mesa Senior Center tomorrow night from 6 to 8. The topic is Becoming an Ally, Promoting Respect and Inclusivity for All, run by the ADL. The task force met last Wednesday, and if you're familiar with Tuckman's model of stages of team development, he will tell you that all high-performing teams go through 4 stages of team development: forming, storming, norming, and performing. And the task force went through the storming stage at our last meeting. The things that were achieved at the meeting is the task force came up with a decision-making process, a consensus model using a scale of 3 fingers. The task force decided to work on the identified goals in subcommittees, 4 subcommittees. I'll go over what those are in a minute. But the task force also came to consensus on an overarching goal of creating a safe and respectful learning environment for all students. The 4 subcommittees, number 1 will be creating opportunities for cross-cultural dialogues that build an understanding of diversity and inclusion. The second task subcommittee will be to develop policies and processes that support all stakeholders to respond quickly and effectively to hate incidents. The third will be empowering youth with tools and skills to stand for what is right, to be upstanding on campus and in the community and online, which will be similar to our training tomorrow night. And the fourth one will be to educate stakeholders on empathy, compassion, and acceptance of differences. At the June 5th meeting, we'll be going over and review our facilitator's role, the consensus model, but the bulk of the work obviously will be the subcommittees working in their areas of those identified goals to come up with recommendations to the board for our students, staff, parents, and committee around those goal areas. We'll also be coming to a consensus on our meeting times moving through October. Since it was a 6-month commitment, we gave tentative dates to the committee that will firm up at the next meeting, and we'll also select our next topic for the next community workshop meeting that will be next month. So that will be the work of the committee moving forward on June 5th.
Thank you.
Good evening. Since you've been so gracious in putting great materials in teachers' hands, I figured it was an opportunity. This time of year is always an opportunity to reflect on what's happened, to also think about what we're moving into next year. So I thought it would be a good time to share with you some reflection on some really intentional professional development we provided for our K-5 teachers in mathematics specifically. And our intent in developing these different opportunities for teachers was to really impact their learning. so that they were developing their own visions of what ambitious, responsive instruction looks like in classroom built around student learning, while at the same time trying to build some professional communities. It's very important, through this in developing these systems, the teachers do have those communities to lean on. We really focused on commitments to PD, not just one-offs. We had a group of about 25 teachers who committed to be fellows this year. It's actually a 2-year commitment. They spent time committing to all 6 days of the cognitive guided instruction professional development, along with 3 additional days in classrooms together working with kids and reflecting on practice. And then for the past 6 months, 2 hours a month, or 2 hours a week after school, meeting just in a professional community. We also had on top of that about 75 more teachers committed to cognitive guided instruction training, again focused on teachers really getting into how kids are taking up the mathematics, how they're thinking about it, and building from that asset of where they are, not what they don't know, but what they do know, knowing where we want to take them. Along with that, there was 60 teachers who committed to really diving into the language and intent of the standards and understanding those as they're developing learning goals every day for kids, as well as the learning progressions of kids and how they're mathematically progressing through the knowledge. And then applying that to the cognitive guided instruction learning. All in all, for the teachers who participated, it was over 5,520 hours of professional development. When you put all that together, that's about 690 work days. I would say it was successful, but not just by word. Last Friday, I was able to go and co-teach in a 3rd grade classroom with a teacher. They only let me do the launch. They were very smart there. But even in the launch, the level of conversation that kids are having using words like conjecture, inference, and it was really just a picture launch. It was we were talking about graphic representations of multiplication. And the launch was just to get them kind of warmed up, and they went right into, well, that looks like the distributive property to me. And it really is incredible. And this was one of our fellows who has been really building that thinking in her classroom. And then we spent quite a bit of time with these different groups getting their feedback from this year, and I just want to share a little bit in relation to their positive impact on students that the training's provided. Students are better able to explain their thinking, teachers are saying. Change in their practice. Again, teachers are saying, I'm more aware of kids thinking in the classroom and how to use that to build other kids' learning. A change in teacher thinking, and this was, I think, the most powerful comment we got. The more I learn, the more I feel I need to learn. Looking at these different strategies and ways of thinking about doing math is endless, and they're absolutely right. And then finally, back to that network and collaborative learning, the quote was, I want to continue to build a network of fellow teachers who I can collaborate with about mathematics instruction. So it's working. And we will continue. We're starting with a new cohort of about 30 fellows next year. And we'll have a year 2 cohort growing as well. Wow. And we'll also be offering 2 more cohorts of cognitive guided instruction.
That's fantastic.
Wow, will they be doing some of their training during the summer?
Cognitive guided instruction and the fellows will start in August, yes.
Mr. Lee-sung.
All right, me again. Along with what Mr. Drake has shared in the area of professional development, I want to give you an update on the grant that we were lucky to be part of. This is the OC All Kids Project. Remember that was an acronym? If any of you can remember the acronym, you would be amazing. But just to remind you, it's the OC Arts, Learning, Literacy, and Knowledge by Instructional Delivery Systems. That's all kids. And it's designed to provide greater access to the arts for our students who are typically underrepresented in the arts, special ed, alternative ed settings. So here's the update. We now have 25 of our district teachers that are going to be part of this professional development. And it's high quality. It's not a one-off like Mr. Drake says. It's a series of PD sessions. The bulk of it happens during the summer, July and August, but also continues through September. And we have, like I said, 25 teachers. Not only did we fill our slots, we actually took some slots from some other districts who weren't using them. So we had very good participation. They're going to be intermixed in about 8 different PD sessions. The one that I'm most excited about that I will repeat, I know I shared this before, was we did have 2 teachers step up to be part of United Sound. And if you recall, that's the program that connects a music teacher, ensemble music teacher, with a special ed teacher, and then they support a special needs students to perform in an ensemble, and they connect them with their typical peers in a musical setting. Now, how great is that?
That's fantastic.
Okay. So we have 2 teachers, Tim McFadden and Johnny, what's Johnny's last name, at T. Winkle. Okay, so we're very, very happy that they committed to do that. And we have some other great VAPA teachers that are also included.
That's pretty exciting. Dr. Jocham.
Just so you know, since Ed Division has 4 people, I'm talking to you about 4 things. I gotta level the playing field a little bit, right? Would you agree?
Especially since you're the only female on
That's right. So I may just take the rest of the evening.
Okay,
Just take a few updates. Oh, hi, Fred.
He's back.
Tomorrow we have our Special Education Community Advisory Tea, where the board is welcome and invited. We have it at Early College High School, where we celebrate and honor those who've touched the lives of kids with special needs, and it's always a very touching and lovely event, and it really, I think, demonstrates how it takes a village to really work with any of our kids in the district. The other update, number 2, is we have our next Special Olympics event next Friday, June the 7th, at Estancia High School, and this is with the Littles. It's the preschool games, and it's a hoot, and it's just a really nice event to be at, especially the beginning when you have cheerleaders and band and kids do their little parade, and it's just it's a very touching event. So that's number 2.
Sorry,
number
do you know
3.
what time that starts? Because I can't find the time frame.
I think we start at either 9 or 10, but I'll double check and let you all know.
Is it
Whip us
10?
a
I think it's 10, just because by the time we get the
10,
buses
yeah.
and everything there, I think it's
I have
probably
9.
10.
That's why I'm
And then third, we have spent this past year really working in our division with our 2 TOSAs. We have a TOSA for students with mild, moderate disabilities, and we have a new TOSA, Celeste, who works with kids with more moderate to severe disabilities. And they've been working really closely with Laura Del Pash. And this year they have been able to reclassify 126 special education students, of their EL status. And so, and especially a lot of them were our kids with more moderate to severe disabilities. And so they were able to use alternative testing and do all this. So it's a lot of hard work, but they've done a really nice job. So that was number 3. Number 4.
But wait, there's more.
Oh, wait, there's more. Thank you. I just want to reiterate a little bit about, Jeff talked about the governor's budget, and now that it's in conference committee, I sent the board some information. We do have Senator Morlock from our area who is on the budget conference committee. And this is the time where, for our district, what would be really critical is for the budget conference committee to approve the assembly budget that's going forward. It's $593 million in additional special education funding. $333 million is to equalize, to bring we get a set rate per ADA, and what that would do is it would move those of us in districts with really low rates higher, but without penalizing the people at the top. And we are definitely one of those lower districts. And then the other $260 million is geared toward preschool. And right now, there's very little funding for preschool, and we know that that can make a huge difference. We have a huge preschool population of kids with special needs here in the district, and what this would do is it would give you some type of an ADA allocation for those students. So we're asking any and all to reach out to the, especially Senator Morlock, since he's our representative on that committee, but just to really support that, it would make a huge difference for us in our district.
Thank you. Board members, do we have any questions, comments on our reports?
I just wanted to say maybe we should have our ledge rep send a letter to Mr. Morlock.
Yes. So I gave him a call.
Oh, good. Oh, that's even better.
Send a letter to
Oh, okay, good, good. So he knows that we're all.
And quantity is good too, with reps, so. And specifically, just in 20 words or less, the assembly budget going forward, is it AB 428 or is it beyond that?
So it now went into conference committee, and so they decide on the budget. So the governors may revise, and then the Senate has their version, and the Assembly has their version. And related to special education funding, we like the Assembly version.
Gotcha. Thank you. Excellent. And I asked if there were any questions. It's crickets, and I'm good with that. Crickets.
I'm saving my ledge updates to the whole thing.
For our, okay. Community input. No cards. But wait, here comes one now.
For action?
I don't know, we'll wait. and see. Suspense. So, yes.
Yes.
Yes, Mrs. Black,
Thank
you're
you.
on.
This is an opportunity for the public to address the board on action items, consent calendar, resolution consent calendar, discussion action calendar per board policy 9323. Each individual speaker will have 3 minutes. Speakers may not cede unused minutes to other speakers, and there's a maximum of 20 minutes of comments per item. When board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public comments, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to speak. The board, the staff, or members of the public may request that a specific item on consent be moved to discussion action. Requests to move consent items must be received prior to the time the board takes action on consent calendars. All comments are recorded in full on the meeting video record. When addressing the board, it is helpful if you state your name and address for the record.
Mrs. Kobayashi.
Good evening. My name is Ruth Kobayashi, and I'm a recent, I can now say I'm a parent alum in our district, and I hadn't planned on talking, but I was motivated by the thought exchange discussion. And I know Mrs. Yelsey knows this, but I don't know if the rest of you know it. And I would love to encourage more of this, and that is our Challenge Success team at Corona Del Mar, which has a couple of really good parents that are on that team, asked me to lead kind of a parent discussion book club monthly, and so we learned a lot doing that. We just had our last one last month. And what I thought about after listening to the discussion about the thought exchange is the concept of if you've got an overarching discussion that you'd love to communicate with parents, a theme for the year, there's some really neat ways to do it. And we have found that sticking with certain books that are kind of, in our case, falling under the umbrella of the Challenge Success program or from some of their authors, we'll look at how we're going to do it next year, but it has been really effective, and we've found that parents really are thirsting for an available place and environment to exchange ideas, their struggles in parenting. You know, the hot topics are often social media, but that's not the only one. And that may be the book, we may look on something. I'm looking at a couple of books right now that deal with effective positive management of social media, not to have it all be fear-based. So I just wanted to encourage you that as you think about moving forward, that doesn't mean the way we did it was perfect. We're reevaluating what worked, what didn't work, but I just wanted to encourage you that things like that are run kind of by parents in a comfortable and safe environment, we've had some success with it. So, thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
sharing
you very
that.
much. All righty. We're going to move on the consent calendar minus case number 182677, which we will vote on right after we do the entire consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Moved by Mrs. Black, seconded by Mrs. Yelsey.
As amended, by the way.
Yeah, she said that.
I said that. 17D1. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0. Case number 182677 is a confidential matter, so we are just listing it as that. So therefore we can't have
Move to
discussion.
approve.
Thank you. Mrs. Black moved to approve.
Second.
Mrs. Yelsey seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
1 no, 6 yes. Passes. Thank you very much. Discussion action calendar. Do we have?
May I go to the podium?
Certainly.
Okay.
Have a nice trip.
Before you open it up, I wanted to, let me get over to the podium.
Reminder?
Ah,
I didn't see it in the.
Oops.
I'm looking for it still.
It's here.
it's this one.
It's this one right here. It's the priorities. The format's changed.
All right. This was the.
I don't
the one
remember
used to.
this.
Looking for the, start from the beginning. All right, well, we'll just leave it like that. Okay. Thank you. I wanted to give you basically some background on this. I think there are some misunderstandings. Perhaps Martha, Dana, and Karen will remember this discussion from 7 years ago when we first talked about priorities. First of all, if everything's a priority, nothing's a priority.
Yep.
And so this kind of goes back to what Dr. Reed used to always say. The board can spend its money any way it wants. You can't spend the money on everything it wants. And I think it's the same true for what's true about priorities. Priorities help us identify the direction we want to go. We also identify the resources that we want to put behind these priorities. Some of the reports you've heard tonight are the outcome of these priorities. Although you don't see it, the direct connection. Priorities have a tendency to grow a lot of roots like a tree, and they create a lot of movement and a lot of action in that area. Also, these are not goals. When we sat down 7 years ago, we talked about what are the drivers of successful change. So these are drivers. So a driver that isn't very successful in creating positive change is accountability, for example. And we learned this lesson during the CSTs and the federal No Child Left Behind. That was a law that was very penalty-laden for schools, okay? And if you didn't reach a certain level of accomplishment, regardless of whether you had a high-performing community or a community in extreme poverty, if you didn't reach a certain level, you had to send a letter that used to say, "Hey, community, we're not very good." And that didn't inspire a lot of hard work. It inspired a lot of anger and really disillusion with the educational process. So our district priorities are drivers, and they're focused on students and and they're achievement driven. And that's really what these priorities are designed to do. And we also want to make sure they're unbound by circumstances and that we're creating opportunities. Unbound by circumstances is, you know, a lot of people we can say we're making excuses for poverty or for language development or for whatever reason, stress. But, you know, we as educators, we have these kids for, you know, from the end of from the tardy bell to the dismissal bell, and that's when we can impact kids. And so we really can't let those outside circumstances help keep us from creating an environment for kids where they really succeed. So system focused reform. First of all, you know, our priorities are focused on the classroom. You know, a classroom is a set of systems. A successful classroom has three things going really well for it, okay? It's got an instructional framework that works. And you heard John mention one that they're really focusing on, cognitive guided instruction. But, you know, we have explicit direct instruction, we have effective elements of instruction, we have gradual release of responsibility, and we have differentiation. Those are also acceptable frameworks. So we don't actually have just one because we apply the right ones when we need to. And they're really more related than they are different. If you look at the research, they all kind of fall in the same kind of theoretical band. Another thing that it is that it's a place where all students are exposed to rigorous curriculum. And all means all. All students have to be exposed to rigorous curriculum. And then the last thing is, a strong classroom, as hard as this is, make sure that we teach all the kids all the time, okay? Because if the kid's not in the class, are they learning? No. If the kid's not in the class, do we get an extra day from the state to teach them? No. We have 180 days, and that's it. So we've got to make sure we keep those kids in that classroom as much as possible. And that can be really hard sometimes because some of our kids have great challenges. You know, and then I like to reflect on the research of Michael Fullen, who probably had the best outcomes on his research on change and what works in school districts and what doesn't work in school districts. And if you don't know this, Michael Fullen is an advisor to the state CDE, the State Board of Education, and is working with the state. And a lot of the things that we're doing in the state with the dashboard are the outcome of his discussions with those leaders. But Michael Fullen said that the right drivers are capacity building, group work, focusing on instruction, and systemic solutions. So not just one thing for one school, a systemic solution for everyone, okay? Good instruction for everyone, okay? Capacity building, that's the professional development. That's the people working together. And group work is we don't work in isolation, okay? All our third grade teachers should be talking about math and planning math together. And you heard how John has devised that with the math fellows. So these are the right drivers. So your priorities aren't goals, they're drivers, okay? And I'll talk a little more about that. The other thing about academics, and I want to really emphasize this, there is a moral imperative, and I think Fullen said it the best. The moral imperative of raising the bar for all students and closing the gap for lower performing groups relative to higher order skills and competencies required to be successful world citizens, okay? And, you know, that's really important. We don't know what the jobs are tomorrow. We absolutely have no idea what kids are going to be doing for a living tomorrow. That job hasn't been invented yet. We can't even think of the name yet of what it's going to be. So we really have to prepare kids to take what they know and apply it in situations that they've never been presented. And that's what our goal is. We talk about behavior, and really what that is, yeah, we want to support all kids, but most importantly, we need to support our most needy and challenged students, okay? And those are the kids who come to us with either special needs or kids who have terrible family situations. We have board members who sit on SARB regularly, and you hear directly from our families what's going on. We need to support those kids. And so you see a little umbrella there, and I think the initials that are very much dear and near to her heart, but this is Sarah Jockum's realm, multi-tiered systems of support, okay? And then community, and there's two parts to community, and that is trusting family partnerships okay? Building trusting family partnerships. I got to tell you, I was really proud of Ray the other night. I got to come over and thank the parents because they completed their 8-week PCAT course, okay? And that's a huge accomplishment. They went for 8 weeks, took every class, and we're getting their recognition. Those are the types of things that build some strong partnerships. We also have trusting community partnerships. Our alliance plays a huge role in that. So these are your 3 areas of priorities. But the next thing I want to talk about is, and I have a picture there of Christine, and I did that purposely because she is a school of no excuses.
Right.
Okay, a university no excuses school, which means doesn't matter where you come from, what you need, or what you got. We're going to get you to be college and career ready, and I think she really demonstrates that every time you step on our campus. They know that those kids are going to be college ready. And I think that our commodity is opening doors of opportunity for students, okay? So I always like that, and when I work with the high school principals here, I said there really are 4 doors of opportunity that districts come up with. One of the first doors is work. We can prepare kids to go straight to work, okay? We can prepare kids to go into the trades, the apprenticeships or the credential or the certificate programs. We can prepare kids to go into community college, where they can also start off either on a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree. And then, of course, there's the opportunity to go to a 4-year university. So the issue here, though, is we shouldn't be picking for kids which door they go through. That used to happen in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And there's a federal law that prevents you from tracking kids now because of that. So we can't be putting kids and saying, oh, you're in the work track.
Right.
You're in the university track. You're in the trades track. That's not what we can do, okay? So what we have to do is make sure kids have all doors open to them when they graduate, okay? We don't choose for them when they go to work. If they want to work, great. But you know what? If you want to go to university, you can too. And that's our commodity. Our commodity is opportunities. And that's what we should be focused on. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that without access to all these doors, there is no equity. Without access to these doors, you have not provided equity to your students. And a lot of people think that you can have equity and still create a below standard class. Won't get you there. Won't get you there. First of all, employers that want people who come right into work, they want them with college-ready math and literacy skills. Because there's a lot of incredible software and reading that has to go. I think Kirk said it best. The automobile technology manual is more difficult to read than what?
The plumbing manual.
Oh, plumbing.
Higher lexile level than college textbooks. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So hard to understand.
No wonder I don't understand the plumber's joke.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about academics, okay? There are really 3 parts to academics, just like in the classroom, okay? There's the instructional framework. And I'm not going to read all of this to you. You've got copies. But what's important here is that we have effective frameworks of delivering instruction, okay? And as a principal, you can walk in and you're looking for 3 things. Is the instruction well delivered? Are the kids well managed? Okay, and are the kids also demonstrating that they mastered the content for the objective for that day? So you're always looking for that in a classroom when you're walking in. The other thing you want to look at is that teachers aren't solely standing at the front of the room and delivering an explicit direct instruction now. You heard John speak about cognitive guided instruction. This is about time for kids to demonstrate their thinking. Sometimes you want to present them a problem. It's very common in law school that you have a case study methodology for law students. They give them a problem and they have to figure out what the best case is and what's the law. So it's kind of that same approach when you use cognitive guided instruction or you use any kind of inquiry practice. Sometimes it's appropriate to say, hey, I need you to know this before we start this. But again, that's why we don't really push any one framework of instruction, but we want to make sure that we're using best practices, whatever those may be for that lesson. And that, in the instructional framework, we're providing ongoing professional development. Again, John tonight shared some of that with you. But as the board directed us to start when the new standards came in, 6 years ago, you said make sure we provide a lot of support to our teachers so they understand these new standards. And we have invested in quite a bit in that. The other part is the rigorous standards-based courses. Again, this is for all kids, okay? We have to make sure that all kids are in rigorous standards-based courses. I know that Mrs. Floor and I have had conversations about below standards courses. You know, when you're getting a math class that's not a standard just because we can't support you to get to standard, that's not right. We need to make sure we provide the support and the intervention for the kids who are struggling and push those kids that are, remember, we're trying to increase rigor for all students, also push those kids who are excelling above our target performance rates. So rigorous courses standards provide access to students to actually get to all the doors that we offer at the end of graduation. And then collegial inquiry. You know, there are a lot of different ways you can frame this, but there's nothing better than to put a bunch of smart people together in a room, look at some data about your students, and figure out what the next best move is. And you know, and that rich conversation is happening on your campuses more than you think. I really enjoyed sitting with the secondary principals this year and listening to their collegial inquiry about how they were setting up their matrix for student progress monitoring. But that happens with an assessment. You know, a site can say, hey, let's look at our second unit literacy assessment in Wonders, and what did our kids do well, and what didn't they do well, and what are we going to do next? So collegial inquiry is probably the most important element into building our capacity as an organization to serve kids better. One example of this, and I got my hats off to the Ed Division. You know, I went to Russell and to John. I said, hey, can you guys do something till we make sure we get a lot of teachers' handprints on our adoption process? Well, you know, 2 beards later, and a couple years, you know, our district is, and really John and the Ed Division's work was highlighted by Ed Reports, okay? And the title was Capacity and Consensus Through a Teacher-Led Materials Adoption, okay? There's a lot of this work going on, but this is an example, and this collaboration was consensus-focused, okay? And that means that everybody agrees to go with the will of the group. And the decision is maybe not my favorite decision, but I can support it. I can support it. I also want to point out that decisions are being made on a pre-K through 12 instructional curriculum lens. All right? You've heard this with math, and I know that is something that the division continues to look at all content areas. So, you know, it's what's the experience from pre-K to graduation, and is it seamless? And does it build upon it, every grade level? And I think that's important. And then I think the part that doesn't get enough play is how diagnostic and prescriptive our teams are at the site and at the district about the data. Okay, the data is not, you know, something that we look at and we hammer people about. Your kids aren't doing that well. The data is what's the diagnosis and what's the prescription to get the kids to the next level, or get the kids on target. And, you know, really, it's the open dialogue, it's the equity of voice in the group, and the commitment to supporting the will of the group that increases understanding and ownership of the direction we choose to go. So collaborative inquiry is really critical, and you can see that, you know, the Ed Division has been recognized nationally for the work they've done on the adoptions. I put behavior and community together because they're really they really are related heavily. You know, in the school culture, you want to foster collaborative relationships, and that's just not among staff. That's with kids. Okay, you want to have a shared vision. We all know which direction we want to go. All right, you want to row in the same direction. I think that as a high school principal, that was the most important thing I could do. Is that, hey, we're going in this direction. And everybody, because if everybody's rowing, you're going in circles. If you don't row in the same direction, you're going in circles and you're not getting anywhere. You want to ensure that students have access to extracurricular activities. We know that the research says that if kids are involved, they're going to be more engaged in schools. And you want to make sure you're demonstrating cultural responsiveness. Our kids are all different. They come from different situations. We don't always understand that, yet we have to understand that. Trusting family partnerships. We engage both students and families. We obtain input and feedback. We provide engaging opportunities, and we facilitate home-school communication, and we provide information. You saw the information that Annette, we can still grow and get better in that, and that's something we have to continue to do. And then our trusting community partnerships, and you know, we engage with the community. You know, we have our alliance. We engage with people who have mutual interests and goals. When we ensure we have reciprocity, so that, you know, what we're doing is also helping them be successful. I think about Project Hope Alliance, which is one of our newest alliances, and that relationship is really growing. You know, they're moving out to other parts of our schools. They're funding all of this. And what we're doing is supporting them as much as we can, and they're having great success. They're now the model for how you work with homeless kids nationally. And then we always maintain an open door policy, and and a good model is how we are trying to invite community members to serve on and nothing is better than the recent crisis that we had regarding our Jewish faith in the district. And, you know, unfortunately, across the nation, the Jewish communities are under attack. I mean, 130% increase is what Sean told me on hate crimes. That's a rise this year across the nation. But that's not the only community that's under attack. There are other groups that are oppressed as well. And so we have to build that. That task force has to be really successful for us, and we can't lose this opportunity to create some community change. So we're very, very aware of the responsibility and the direction we have to go. So I want to go over what we did with the priorities and what phase we're in, okay? So the first phase was identify the priorities. And again, what we did was we identified the right drivers. What's going to yield the most change, okay? For example, a lot of districts focused on technology. Well, technology is a great tool, but it's not a driver. It doesn't create change. You know, without a teacher, technology is not as good. It won't replace a teacher. Another thing that I think, a lesson that was learned during the No Child Left Behind, is that because it was so punitive, school districts reduced their offerings to students. They really focused on literacy and math only. I'm very proud that when I came back to the district to see that you hadn't done that as a board. You kept music, you kept activities, you kept electives. And, you know, kids need a well-rounded education. They don't need just literacy and math, because literacy is content specific. If you're just teaching it in language arts, then they're not learning about what the different words mean in each of the content areas. So, you know, I think an expanded literary, a whole literary for the whole curriculum for the whole child is really, really important. We also focused on capacity building. We had that conversation about the new standards and how we're going to support our teams. The district had done a lot of work on how to build, and I know it's not a great word anymore because there's a tag on it, but professional learning communities. You did a lot of work in training the whole district in PLCs. That was a great investment because we had a vehicle, whether we call it collegial inquiry or whatever, to really talk about what does the data mean and what are we going to do about it to get to be better with our kids. And then we focused on what's good instruction and what is rigorous curriculum. And then we talked about how do we do this systemically for everybody. Phase 2, we were focused on capacity building, all right? That's when you saw the emergence of the consensus model district-wide. We provided expanded professional development. We created the response to assessment system, which is what, you know, George's work has been in data. And so now we have dashboards that are very helpful to all our sites and to our district. And then we started to delve into the support tiers for academic and behavior. And you might remember Melissa and Phil's triangle, two-part triangle, that was our first step into MTSS. We didn't know it was MTSS then. Now we know better because Sarah's here. And then phase 3 is we're using the assessment technology to track the academic progress of every student. That's where we're moving. and we're going to refine the intervention systems across all campuses. Intervention not just for kids who are struggling, but for kids who need enrichment. That's our next phase, and that's what we're branching off to now. So you've heard me mention several times this year, we're really going to focus on student progress monitoring. Why? Because we built the system to do that. We wouldn't have been able to do this 3 or 4 years ago. But now that we have the system, we have the curriculum in place, we are focused on instruction, we have collaborative inquiry, we have the data now to bring it right to the fingerprints of principals and teachers, as well as at district level. And we can really have conversations. And you've been to some data chats before. Our data chats are now going to be data chats on steroids. And then I wanted to tell you, what does a future model look like for priorities? You know, we really have to think about this. And the best thing I can think of is this. This is the MTSS model, okay? This is the multi-tier systems of support. And if you look at it, it has all the things in it that we've been talking about for years. It's talking about administrative leadership, integrated educational framework, family community engagement, inclusive policy structure and practice. So as we move forward, this is going to become a conversation that we have with the board about what is the future of our priorities going to be. But they're always going to be focused on what drives change the best. It's about drivers, it's about what creates change, and about what really renders districts successful. And you can't do this work unless you have buy-in from all the way from the school site through the district on these big initiatives. And as hard as that is, and as slow as that is, it's the only way to really create an environment where all students are going to grow up and where we're going to provide endless opportunities. Okay, so if you could pull out your priorities. Oh, Sherry, do I have these up here? No, I don't. So.
I have one for you because I brought my own.
Yeah, I think I have one on the website.
We have a couple of them here.
It's in our stack of papers. Got it.
You got a stack, but I would like to put one up for the
I
community.
have an extra one.
I want to put one up for the
one's on
community to see here, so just give me a second.
For our viewers at home.
I thought we did have it online.
1920.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
not-
for 1920.
Nothing like typing for a million people.
I like the ABC.
Okay. So these are our priorities, and really the priorities are A1, 2, and 3. And the bullets that are under them are objectives for staff to pursue. So you've given us the what, okay? And we have figured out what the objectives are under that. Now, what I want to tell you is those objectives have a lot of work under them, a lot of work under them. I think if you just talk about the first bullet, define, implement, and continuously adjust our core curriculum. You've seen where we've gone through from the first day we started talking about the new state standards through our most recent adoptions. And 5 years later, I think we're in a really good place with our instruction and our instructional practices going in the right direction. But it's a web of practices and hard work, and the investment you've made is incredible.
But I think we know now, too, where the gaps were.
Yes.
I mean, it took that long for us to,
Well, and I think
be
you have to give
transparent
your staff time to understand the standards and what they mean and what's the best way to deliver the instruction that's required. I told the elementary teachers when we were going to language arts and math, I said, it's like your first year of teaching.
that's right.
You're going to develop a whole new set of lessons for two of your most important content areas. And it's like a first year of teaching all over again. Because not only are the standards different, the expectation on what the instruction is going to be like is different. So they've changed not only what we teach, but how we teach. And we, again, what I want to stress is that while we have these priorities, one of the important things is that we have been consistent. While it's morphed a little bit with the objectives and what we do as staff, we've been consistent about the direction that we're going. So I appreciate the board's continuity as we move forward. We have made some changes, but they have been minor, only to help make sure that we're redefining our objectives as we go forward. Behavior, and while there are only 4 behavior bullets, you know, that's where you've made the most investment of all recently. You've hired additional psychologists, social workers, we've expanded the coordinators in there, and I think that what we've created is a responsive system. And this is what really is going to help your neediest and most challenging students. You know, the kid who gets to send out on a referral to the office is usually the kid who's not doing well in school either. And that's the kid who we can't afford to send to the office. They, you know, when I was a principal, they'd sit outside my office. They were losing valuable instructional time. And I know that it's difficult to deal with, and we have to figure out how to do that because our teachers need our support. But we have to make sure that they stay in class as much as possible and that they're not sitting outside, not learning. You know, that's what behavior was about, and how we do that. And community, I think what we need to do is maybe look at this, and I'm going to ask Sarah to look at this a little differently, is how do we reach more into our community partners? And I'm really impressed with some of the work we're doing, but I think we need to expand some of that. We need to figure out how our system can add that. You know, we just can't give Sarah another 40-hour job on top of the 60-hour-a-week job she has. So we have to figure out how we can do that.
How we handle it.
And I just want to acknowledge the hard work of the team behind me. You know, I try to keep us focused on the priorities all the time. I want to make sure that we're not losing sight of the important work, even when we have huge distractions, even when we have a problem that we didn't anticipate, or there's media, because they're not here to talk about the great things that are happening. They're here to talk about what's popular and what sells papers. So I try to make sure that at the end of the day, we're focused on what's happening in the classroom and how we're dealing with our neediest and most challenged kids. But anyways, they've been updated. I've shared them with you. I did make sure I got all the changes because Martha is a good scribe, and she caught a couple of words or changes that I forgot to make. And I appreciate the extra time, Martha. I hope you didn't mind me buying you lunch at Acapulco while we did it.
Yeah.
But you know, they're here for you to accept or move forward, and really what this means is that our schools can continue on their school plans now and how they're moving forward. Any questions?
Has everything? No.
So I tried to make it simple. I only have 9 slides. I could have given you 100 slides.
I know.
But we would have been here for 4 hours. But these
But for the last 7 years, I have those slides.
But these priorities
and the monitoring
are simple, but we create very complex and need to be responded to by our systems.
Oh, it's great.
Terrific. Mrs. Bartow.
So I looked at these and I have a couple little edits. Overall, I think the drivers, if they're drivers, like they don't change too much year to year because people are people. But one thing I just wanted to highlight that I don't really see in here is kind of this focus on like kindness and empathy. And it's not a big change because it's overall reflected, but I'd love to see that in the further bullet points, maybe included in behavior.
We can look at that at B4
Yeah.
Yes.
and add a bullet there about kindness or empathy.
Or understand, something that's dialogue based.
Understand, yeah, and that's the task we've undertaken with the community. So
exactly.
I'll ask Sarah to look at that. Sarah, maybe add a bullet to B4.
And then for B, and I think actually most of my changes are in B, so we'll just start there. For expand suicide prevention and crisis response systems, the goal obviously is what we're going for. I'd love to reword it a little bit to say just supporting that prevention, maybe something early intervention. I don't know exactly how I would word it, but just to think about maybe the early causes or supporting in a culture that reduces stress, something like
Early
that. It needs more
intervention.
thought, but yeah, early intervention, something that says that we're
Something
thinking-
proactive versus reactive.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to
So
say.
Sarah, we'll work on that bullet too.
That'd be like B1, that
Yeah, that's B1
expand
bullet
suicide
2.
prevention and
Right.
crisis with utilizing
Right.
early, yeah.
early intervention.
And then my only
practices.
other one is in A5, and again, not a huge change, just a different wording. Create a sustainable plan for technology-infused classrooms. I think we have a plan in a lot of ways, so I'd love to see something that's maintain, expand, improve the way.
Rather than just create, because we have a lot in place?
Exactly.
All right, John? Okay, we got that one?
Did you take you off?
I took me off,
Okay.
yeah. Well, I mean, I can go back on.
Hold on, Mrs. Bartow, were you done?
I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
I just had a brief comment, which was, I read this whole thing several times and tried to find some way to put my mark on it. But it's great. You did a great job. Your team did a great job. It covers everything. And that's all I wanted to say, yeah.
Well, just like a classroom has to have all those three things in their system.
Yeah.
We have to support all those three things.
Exactly. It's, yeah. In fact, the early intervention, I sort of saw that on B2, but it's more early identification systems. So it's a little bit different, yeah.
Well, we'll ask Sarah to look at those and see what we can come back to modify it to be more responsive to what the board would like.
Yeah.
It's minor, but I think it's just,
Minor's okay.
I think it just shows the evolution of, the evolution from the previous year and the strides we made and honors that.
Exactly.
Yeah. We should document our progress.
The big bullets don't change very much because the big bullets are what we should do, but the little bullets
are going to
should reflect where we are, where we're at.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Board president's right. Ms.
Mrs.
Yelsey?
Yelsey.
Well, yeah, just very minor to what you're saying. The good thing is we are already doing that. So it's not something, let's put it in because we need to do it. We are doing it. So I think but along those lines, also in A5, very minor, increase access to technology and expand Chromebook initiative to all zones. We're already doing that.
Yes, it's true. So we need to figure out what our process is now.
I mean, we've already expanded.
We've all expanded, yes. So that's a little
So
late.
maybe
That's
maintain.
That's historic now.
Yeah.
So we'll, okay?
Maintain access.
Yeah.
Oh, year 4 is next year.
Who else?
Mesa.
Oh,
Wait a minute,
we
I
have
thought
ninth graders that
CDL was
haven't, the ninth graders haven't gotten them in all our schools yet.
I thought the Corona del Mar zone was the last zone.
No,
to get
Costa
them.
Mesa was the last zone.
Oh, the Costa Mesa zone hasn't gotten them all.
Right.
You haven't gotten any Chromebooks?
Wait a minute.
No.
Back in the day, way back, before I was on the board, the district, there was and
A grant.
Mr. Pavai, there was a grant that
IT,
provided Chromebooks, and Costa Mesa zone was selected or jumped on it. But not every Costa Mesa school participated back then. Therefore, not every Costa Mesa elementary school was on board, and the high school wasn't on board. It's piecemeal. There's a lot of computers going on in Costa Mesa.
Okay.
But the official Newport-Mesa rollout
I stand corrected, I'm sorry.
needs to roll out.
Well, and that's right. Now, I want to remind the board what we did. We looked at the lowest per student computer count, per student computer count in our zones. And the lowest at that point was Estancia. Our second lowest was Newport Harbor. So that's why we went Estancia, Newport Harbor. Then we went CDM, and then Costa Mesa did have a lot of, well, we started with netbooks, and then we moved them to Chromebooks because that was the next iteration. So there were already a lot of
So they're rolling
one-to-ones
out
in there.
Chromebooks this year?
So we're going to go in and change them all out
Yay.
anyways.
Mrs. Fleur.
Couple of things. One is to giving voice to the Human Relations Task Force and their recommendations. And one of their goals, I think you said it the best, was creating a culture of respect, a culture of respect and
Hold on.
safe and respectful community. Is that right?
I just made the same comment to Dr. Suri. The overarching goal is creating a safe and respectful learning environment for all students.
Well, and
Where does that
from my point of view, that should be embedded somewhere in here that addresses, I think, what Mrs. Bartow was saying, what Mrs. Yelsey was saying about the work that we're doing in terms of that area. So
I think we'll have to add another bullet.
I think that has to
Or
be.
we'll look at the bullets there and see where it fits.
Exactly.
Add that word in.
The other one is that we have, in two places, we have CTE, and I wonder whether they can be combined. One is, you have it under Continue to build CTE pathways and sequential course in high-wage, high-demand sectors.
A3.
A3, and then you have it under C2, expand career and technical education pathways to engage industries, post-secondary education, and community leading to internships, It seems to me that they are saying similar things and that they should be taken
And
out
I
of
can
the
give you a
community and move them to,
Yeah, absolutely. You're right, but the reason we did that was purposeful because internships is the next iteration of where we want to go.
And that's community.
And our internships are going to have to involve our business partners in the community.
Okay.
So we have to expand that. And that's really our biggest challenge. And I was talking to Annie Younglove, the labor laws for underage kids
Right.
are very difficult for businesses to accommodate.
that's why it's 16.
Yeah, and so we've got to figure out how we get under 18-year-old kids into internships in local businesses. So we have to figure out, hey, do we have to fingerprint every employee in a business because our kid's going to be there? These are some of the hurdles we have to overcome. So I think with all due respect, I'd like to keep it also in community because it's going to be a lot of work for our college and career office with the community.
Okay. And then finally, the one on restorative, these are not well, first of all, on the Chromebooks, I think we should be taking the word Chromebooks out of here because we don't know whether that's going to be the new iteration. I mean, now, I just took my kids to Google and.
Awesome. It's like, no.
He woke up.
Yeah, he woke up. Well, it's because, I mean, there's a new.
I agree.
Google has a new.
That was my question.
They're over there
So
working,
what you
being
don't
led
want-
by a woman, by the way, over here at the Google Fiber, and they're talking about, they're going to be putting fiber in Newport Beach. It's coming. It's already, they're on the, so I'm not sure that we should be using the word Chromebook versus technology
So
and
we wouldn't
technology
want,
tools.
a
because
product name in there, is what you're saying.
I
We
don't
wanna
think we should be having a product name.
Not a
product,
registered name.
specific.
Let's put,
And again, I think that it's not only,
We can
it's
put,
not even the tool, it's also the, look at him, he's over there. It's giving, go ahead and say it. It's giving us, we want access for all our students to be able to get onto the web. I mean,
Yes.
that should, and so I guess, I'm not sure that we should be having, so just come up with some different words.
and I think you're right, we shouldn't have a product in there. We should have a different type of word. Maybe it's personal technology, I don't know what it could be. Awesome will work on that, that's his area. But I also
Device,
want
we
you.
could say device.
I also want you to know, we need to pat Awesome on the back, because he figured out a way that our kids who don't have access to technology
Yes.
at home can have access to technology. With, what are those little cards you put in there? Hotspots? The hotspots that, kids can get. And we actually, one of our partners that helps Awesome, maybe doesn't do them all, but Project Hope Alliance has helped us identify some of those families that don't have access to technology.
Well, and see, that goes along with the plan. I mean, my personal thing is that it should be responsible use of technology. And we don't have anything about responsible use for technology. When we're talking about kids, and we're talking about Facebook, and we're talking about Instagram, and the Snapchat, or the next iteration, we're talking about kids being, using it responsibly and understanding the consequences of their behavior, posting. All of those things are
see
part
a
of
new
the
bullet
use
coming on.
of technology, and so I'm not
I
sure
think
where
we can
that
look
should
at the
be, but-
third bullet under A5 and somehow expand that to include that, because those
Yes.
are about behaviors.
That's-
So, John, if we could do that to the third bullet in A5, we'll modify that.
And then, thank you for this. And then finally.
You said finally
I'm
3
just
times.
saying. I'm just saying.
Expand systematic, embedded, and restorative. We're
What
not
letters?
using the word on B3. We're not using the word restorative culture anymore, are we?
Yeah, restorative culture.
I thought we were
not
using restorative practices is what we were using versus culture.
It's restorative justice that we're not using.
But I haven't heard the word culture in a long time. I've heard restorative practices.
Well, and
So
we
that
can
was
change it
listed.
to, that is the
Paradigms.
phrase we're using.
Okay, all right.
So we can change that, Sarah? Yeah, it's not a big problem.
Well, the restorative
Yes.
Okay.
that embeds everything we do. So it's a much more broader term. Practices deals specifically
All right.
with practices done by individual teachers.
I like culture.
Okay, that's fine.
So we'll keep culture?
Yes.
All right.
Do you have any more finalies? That's all right. Ms. Anderson.
I can come back.
I know.
Under academics, because it looks like this wasn't updated, we're still using, a lot of it is based on 2017 on our website. And some of the EL roadmap has changed in July 2017.
What number are you talking,
I'm
addressing?
academics, so under A1,
Okay.
I would like to see a change because at the state level, the EL roadmap has now been accepted and is a state law. So I would like to have something that is a bullet that's bilingual education is a value, something around, there's nothing, if we're talking here about demonstrate culturally responsive practices, there, I would like to see some kind of a nod to biliteracy, something around that.
Well,
There's no
A2,
discussion of it at
A2
all.
in the second, would be differentiation to meet each
Well, there is a
student.
bullet on A1, implement targeted training on effective use of standards and frameworks, framework alignment instructional materials. Kind of refers to, but but we could look at that one and be inclusive of all, of ELs, focus on, when all means all, it means including EL.
It needs to be
and-
explicitly
yeah.
stated,
So do you
yeah.
want us to work on that third bullet and see what we
Yes.
can do with that?
Yes.
All right? Is we okay with that? Okay, we can do that.
And then following up on the future model of district priorities, and the inclusive policy structure and practice, the LEA policy framework, how would this be implemented?
Oh.
That page of this.
Yeah, it's the last page. So I'll go back to that.
It's on here, but it wasn't really discussed. So what does this, I'd like more information as to what that looks like.
Hold on one second, I'm bringing that up. Oh, there it goes, okay. What page was that, Ms.
8.
Anderson?
8.
The last
It's on
Okay.
future model.
Future models. Okay, again, this was a sample of something we might go forward to in the future. So, which is the part that we're looking at here?
Well, like what does this mean to you? Like it's on here, so what would it?
Oh, I see.
What would this entail?
So I think
How would
this
this
is
be
a.
Inclusive policy.
Yeah, I think what we would, what I'm saying is that our priorities may look different in the future, and this may be a model we want to follow, because these have all the right drivers in them for change. And so I brought this, and this was actually off the county website. They have a huge MTSS website, and what I thought is, what could be a future model? So I presented this to the board and for discussion in the future. So we might want to really have a more in-depth conversation starting this summer and next year about what, if we wanted to create a different framework or looking framework, what would it be? And I thought this was a really good sample of
like it,
one.
yeah.
So it's a suggestion,
Versus
and
ABC.
hopefully it's doing exactly what I'd
Yes.
hope, Ms. Anderson, that we can have a conversation about something like this and maybe move from our bullets to more of a set of frameworks that are more inclusive of the drivers.
And by frameworks, you do not necessarily mean the California state framework, of which there's so much controversy right now,
Right.
but more of a structural framework for our district.
Right.
Okay.
Because I think we could be more, while I like the priorities and have served us well, I think these are a little easier to read and are a little more definitive.
And
would give-
user-friendly.
And would extend the life of the priorities. So I'm just providing it to you as a proposal to consider.
Mrs. Black?
Oh, well, everybody, asked my questions.
Thank you, everybody.
No, but I had one final one. And we probably can't really get an answer at this time, but I really want us to consider under A5 and second, create a sustainable plan for technology-infused classrooms.
Maintain, it's going to be maintained there.
I don't want to say maintained either. I don't know, what does that mean? And like you were alluding to, we don't know, what the technology expectation's going to be. And, and then we're asking teachers and staff to promote innovation and creativity in all classrooms through research-based methodology. we're going to need technology. I mean, it's going to be there. And I'm concerned, you know, and I'm going to go way off on the sideline like I normally do. But this has been really concerning me for 10 years because other districts, you know, because of the recession, the massive layoffs, a lot of teachers didn't get trained and but a lot of districts had to go out for bond measures. And we had to rely on our booster clubs and foundations. That's not sustainable.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have one of the better, plans, but do we? So I'm concerned that we're not supporting Awesome, mainly because he's having a heart attack back there, and we, hearing us talk about,
We are supporting us, and we've had long
No, I-
We have
conversations this year.
defibrillators right by him. Right by him.
No, but you know what I mean, and you're not going to say it, but are we really supporting? I mean, I
And
think
can
it
use
needs to
really-
be
I
a
know Something
priority.
we've talked about, I could use a really good example
Okay, good.
of something that, when maybe the create's not the word, maybe it's maintain a sustainable plan.
Or maybe sustainable plan.
A sustainable plan. But one really good example, and I know I learned this from Awesome a couple years ago, we use Project Lead the Way technology in our high schools with the engineering programs and all those. Well, that's really specific software. And it's like it requires these really powerful computers to use. And so I know that is a huge drain on his staff. And so how do we move forward to sustain that specific technology in the software? And software is the issue. Is that right, Awesome? The updates on the support for software drains the time of his staff. And so what are we going to do? And we've had really some constructive discussions recently about how we support that. But he has other needs as well.
Well, how do we support it if we don't know? I mean, and
we'll
I don't want to guess.
And I'll be coming back to you with what
And Jeff's got to be in the meeting.
Jeff has been in the meeting. Haven't you, Jeff?
I mean, he and Awesome have to have lunch regularly.
Finance is in the house.
Well, we've had a very constructive conversation with Awesome, and what with Tim, and talked about what his needs are, and we are moving forward, and I'll be sharing those with you. But we have to recognize that, and I was, to be honest, when his needs came up, I was surprised that we really need web developers too.
Right.
There's a lot of work behind the scenes. We think it's just about helping, and it is. It's about helping the classroom make sure they're on the web, and that's essential. But there are these other demands that are coming about that are just increasingly robbing his staff's time. So there's not enough time in the current staffing that he has to assist our programs. So we've got, Austin came out with some ideas. We've discussed them, and I'll be sharing with you what those decisions are.
I think after Tustin, passed their technology bond, and we discussed that at Delegate Assembly, and it's late tonight. I mean, I've been sitting in this chair way longer than I want to, but it's an important conversation because we need to support you. We need to start planning now, and I don't see the dollars. Maybe but all of us at Delegate Assembly, which are all the districts in Orange County, we had fierce conversations about, oh my gosh, we had no idea Tustin, now that they've had their bond and they're spending their money on their bond, they're doing it on people and spending, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And they passed a huge
Well, and I will tell you
expensive,
that we are having those discussions,
Right.
not just with Awesome, but you also tasked us with expanding student services a couple of years ago, and we've had those discussions.
No,
So I will come back to you later on, not in the near future, and share with you what some of those decisions.
So if we just put sustainable plan for technology infused.
I'm going to ask Awesome to look at that bullet
Okay.
and see what he and John can come up together on that one. Do you mind, Awesome? Okay? Because I understand we need to make it more universal.
Well, or just, so that we're not, hogtied.
Yeah, no, absolutely, no. And I like the comments that we're getting tonight, because we're talking about, the words that really mean what we're doing, not what we've done.
Right.
And give us some flexibility to continue to move forward. That's the main gist I'm getting from the board, is that let's be nimble.
No, I
and be able
know
to
you
move
know
forward.
this because we've had, countless discussions about it. I just wanted, I think it needs to be there for future boards, and staff
Yes,
and, you
and
know.
you've been very clear about that all year.
I know.
Mrs. Bartow. Oh, I'm sorry, were you done, Mrs. Black?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Mrs. Bartow?
At the risk of beating the dead horse.
The horse isn't dead yet, I'm still standing.
Okay. The only thing I wanted to make sure is that we keep, I don't know that we need to keep the word Chromebook initiative in there, but I think it's really important because we haven't finished rolling that out, that we do have a bullet, because that particular, I'd hate for that to be, things that are on here get done, basically. And
Yes.
I really want to make sure that that happens and is recognized at the end so that we can, in a year, come back and go, great,
Yeah.
check that off, we did that.
I think it's, someday the personal device may change. And I think what I'm hearing is, let's keep moving with the initiative, but can we use a different descriptor rather than a product name?
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So it might be a personal device in there instead of a
That's
Chromebook.
perfect.
Okay? All right?
Mrs. Flora?
Oh, it's 4, I'm sorry.
No, we've got double buttons. They're coming back.
Okay.
I thought you had lunch.
I had lunch.
Hey, we did a lot of work on these.
No, I mean, yeah, I thought
A
he
couple of
already.
things that, and I guess I'm hankering back to our vision, our mission, our beliefs. And I guess part of me wants to add another priority, which is our staff. There's, within here, there's training of staff, there's all sorts of, we have this great thing about, talk about staff, we talk about that, but I guess they deserve something more because they should be considered a priority. In terms of without them, we don't get to serve our students. And so it's just a thought that somewhere along the line, there should be something in here that really says something
So I
about
think
our staff,
Yeah.
our leadership. If we go to your new paradigm shift that says administrative leadership, and it talks about having the right, you want the right people in the right spots, and and fostering creativity. If you guys, we got this at our place.
Right.
There are several interesting articles in here, and awesome, on the back page, one of the back pages, it's Student IT Teams Revamps Tech Repairs. We have kids who can
take
totally
those to high
strip
schools.
a Chromebook and replace every part on it in about 15 minutes because they've gotten so good at it. It's like, hello, internships.
Bless you.
I guess I just really think it's really important that we
So remember-
foster creativity and we
So remember
provide teachers with
what
those
the
tools.
drivers are about. And the driver with staff is collaboration and working in groups. So if we have words in there, that's what we want to use. We want to
All
use
right,
those words.
Perfect. That goes for me.
Mrs. Yelsey?
As long as they're.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure, whatever year we're working on, can we just make sure on our website
The
it's
right ones.
correct that it says whether it's 18, 19, or, because
gonna
people look at that and they go, you still have your old priorities out.
We'll make sure we change that tomorrow. We'll come back with the updates to you on Friday, in your Friday update. And, we'll put them up and we'll put draft on there. And then if we don't hear anything from you on Friday, on Saturday or Monday, whatever, then we'll just take the draft off.
I'd like a thought exchange on this. What does the community think about our priorities?
No way.
Ms. Anderson?
In the past, when we've talked about some of these priorities, I feel like there's been a lot of focus on A and B, academics and behavior. And oftentimes it seems like community is an afterthought or it's not even mentioned at all in some of our meetings. So for me, I think I agree with the staff piece. C1 is just a conglomeration of everyone in one place. And I think those need to be separated out. So if we are using this effectively, having everyone, students, parents, employees, employee associations, and community partners is too much. I would like to see one specific area that addresses parent engagement and empowerment. I would like there to be something for a community that talks about transparency, open dialogue, accountability, family partnerships, expanding home to school connections, some of the things that are in the family and community engagement and actually doing this, trusting family partnerships. So I think this needs to be expanded out rather than just have one catch-all. C1 is too vague to me.
Template
Well, we could
shows
do
how you
that.
do that.
We could do that in the new template. You know, and remember, this is only the second year we've had community. So we just
Right.
really started this one last
used to
year
be
because it used to be creativity.
Oh, creativity.
It was creativity in the past. So we just opened up community. So it's in its infancy.
It's been
So
this
what
for
I'd like to
several
do
years.
is
No,
maybe
at
offer
least
that
2
we
years,
put a,
2.
yeah, so what I'd like to
you
do
still have the
is
building blocks.
offer to put in, if you could send me an email with a couple of bullets that we could put in there. We could put some more bullets in there, but then let's have a conversation of how we remodify that next year to be much more like the MTSS model. And let's spend our time on that one next year. But go ahead and, if you don't mind, Ms. Anderson, sending me an email with the bullets, and I'll get them over to Sarah, and we'll see how we can maybe add some more bullets in there to include that. And then as we talk next year, you've seen the framework that I think is possible. We can talk about how we use that.
Please call it something else.
That's it.
Yeah, I was patient. Me. I was patient and waiting. Yes, yes, I do. This is my huge power. Wait, I wield the stick. Oops. And yes, we've had the ABCs, but Cs were creativity for a long time. So it's only been communication labeled that. Which brings me to, yes, it needs to be updated. Even if they were the same, even if we had them the same, it should still say the 2018, so we don't need to do that again. And this is a structural task, but if I'm going on the web page and I pulled up that, I see in my face, and what I translate in my brain is wah 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 wah. So
We need infographics for
Well,
all of this.
well, not everything, because then it's just a big page of
The
pictures.
big headers.
But what I loved was having the ABCs, hokey though it was.
Oh,
But
you mean the blocks?
the building blocks did catch your eye, and it was just the main bullets. And we've got technology now that we could so easily have that, and then you click on one of those bullets, and it takes you to these bullets. And so that it's not so many words. It's just, and that's
So you'd like us to go back to that format and make it more attractive and then.
more
and then-
user-friendly to a
And then just
layperson.
put a little direction that says, click on the bullet, and then you'll learn more about what the objectives are.
Well, it's almost,
For those people who want to read them.
it's almost like if I was doing it, I would go and try to click on it and see if it would take me someplace else.
And I gotta tell you, President Matoye, when we first did that little pamphlet that first year, it was a great little tool when I was on the road to all of the
One
service
page,
I have
clubs.
it
Yeah.
in my car.
Yeah, that was a great little tool.
And it was
to talk about the
colorful.
important things, yeah.
And I can tell you as a staff
It's
person.
a nice logo, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, God.
Yes.
as
it-
a
it-
staff
yeah.
person, it was easy as a principal to know where I was taking the boat. I knew what direction to row, and it was not overwhelming, and
Maybe that
everything is
could be-
important.
yeah,
We
we'll-
have to have this.
We'll task Adriana in her new position to come up
Oh,
with something.
now I got a new friend, sorry. But that was my
That would
biggest,
be a fun thing to do.
that
Yeah.
was my biggest thing. And
Yeah,
now
I am not the most I'm gonna tell you, I am not a creative person on that, in that realm, so I'm like, you get the research part of it from me.
Well, and that's what specialists are good for. And that from this, what is being asked from us is it's discussion action. So while I think we all like it, I think we would like to see it reiterated in the cleaned up form before we actually move. So would our action be to table it till our next board meeting?
You can
How-
table it, or you can approve it pending the changes, and you
bring
can
it back.
finalize your
I'd like
approval
to
next
table-
time.
I'd like to bring it back to the.
Don't table.
I'm not tabling, I would never table.
I would like to move to approve it with the changes that have been
We haven't had the
suggested.
change.
Hold on. There's
haven't
been a
seen the
motion.
changes.
Is there a second?
Apparently
No, then the
not.
motion dies.
I
So,
think just wait and
Can we bring it back?
the changes.
Can you bring it back on the,
I can
at
bring
the
it- I
June
can.
12th? What's the June 12th?
Yeah,
June
well, the
11th?
next meeting is June
11th?
11th.
June 11th? Does that
Yeah,
work?
we can bring it back to the 11th.
Okay.
okay, so do we have to move and
For
second that, or
adoption?
is it just
No,
we're not
you know what? We'll
We just discussed, and now we'll
Just give me direction to come back on June 11th, and I'll
Come back.
June 11th.
Bring this back on June 11th. Thank you very much.
Okay?
The horse is
Okay.
dead. Please.
Before we go to policy, I've been asked if we could take a 5-minute break for.
No, that'd be nice.
See,
I'm okay with that, too. So 5 minutes, we'll come back at 9:30?
Okay, I just wanted to thank the board for, allowing me to share the drivers and how we all came to this, so thank you for the time.
It was fun to have a discussion during discussion. On Newport-Mesa board meeting, no. Sorry. We are now talking about the first reading and adoption of modifications to board policy. Dr. Juckham. I'm sorry, my phone buzzed
I like
at
when
the
people
same
have that
time.
reaction to my name, but good evening, board. So we bring before you tonight 6 policies from student services, and then there's 2 additional policies from the Ed Division. And these are policies that the Policy Review Committee spent time on, all of them, and then they were all sent to every board member. So I think you've all had them for about 2.5, 3 weeks now. So I'll entertain any questions or a motion at this time.
Mrs. Floyd.
Given the fact that we've had them, that, as you said, that I see that you've listed them literally every single one by himself. Hello.
Yeah.
That's because the last few times we've done this, we've asked for them to be listed separately.
I agree.
So that's why they're
I'm
like
not
that.
disagreeing with you.
Don't make it sound like it was her fault.
However, since we've had them for
a month.
20,
Long
20
time.
days, long time. My question is, I guess, to Miss Snyder, because she
Needs to
manages them. Have we had any comments or questions? Has the board responded? Because we sent it out and asked, so there have been no comments or no responses. Okay. So I'd like to make a suggestion that we sort of change the order up, and can you just run through all of them and then make one? Can we have one motion to adopt all of them?
We can always do that, but
I like them one at a time because I think people here have comments, unless nobody has any comments.
Okay, all right.
Well, we'll go fast.
I think that just makes sense, because then you lose track of what you're doing.
So what we can do is we'll go through them one at a time. We'll open it for questions, and maybe at
Exactly.
the end, then instead of doing a motion on each one, if there's no questions or comments on that particular item, we can move forward.
Because this is the first reading, and there may be, we may dispense with the second reading on some and not on others.
And I think the review is of value to
Yeah.
the public, just going over them.
Sure.
We tried.
Okay, so we're going to start with, I'm going to have Phil did all of these policies from student services, so I'll have him briefly go over kind of what.
Yeah, I can just give you a summary of each one if you'd like, members of the board. So Board Policy 0410, we brought this one forward to be, a lot of these board policies were brought forward in light of the federal program monitoring. So we were just we're simply updating language reflective in CSBA model samples. So we expanded the language at the top of 0410A. We cleaned up the language throughout this particular board policy. On page C, more language about disability that is aligned with CSBA languages, but nothing that substantively changes our mission or direction in supporting students and guaranteeing non-discrimination in everything that we do.
I'm going to move to approve Board Policy 041A through C, or E, I'm sorry.
Second.
Okay, it was moved by Mrs. Black, seconded by Mrs. Snell.
For one reading, in one reading.
In one reading, and Mrs. Fleur has a comment.
Yes, the only comment is this correction as on board, page D. I believe we said this before, is taking out the name of the person.
And I believe it has to be
It has to be there.
it has to be there?
Yes, we checked. You have to name the person that's currently in that position.
Okay, great.
Good, okay.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 7-0.
Okay, Board Policy 5111.1, no substantive changes, just simply updating the cross-references to other board policies. We got more specific on making sure that the student's permanent record is reflected as the place where documents are maintained as far as district residency. The investigation is all standard. We adopted just only a year ago, so
Right.
no substantive changes there.
Okay, I'll move to approve Board Policy 5111.1 A through E in one reading.
It's been moved and seconded by Mrs. Black, seconded by Mrs. Fleur. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's 601, Mrs.,
It's not one.
She knows.
because
She-
Mrs.
just
Yelsey's
6-0.
not here. So, I'm sorry, so it was not 7.
Oh.
That's why. Thank you.
Board Policy 5145.6. Now, with parental notifications, again, this was in light of FPM requirements. We created more robust language in terms of our annual notification. You're going to find that our parental notifications this year will be modeled after OCDE's parental notification requirements. And then we also added language about primary language and making sure that there's language accessibility for
I really like
parental
this.
notifications.
I like the changes you made. I really do. I think
Thank you.
they're a lot
We
clearer.
also, so there's some guarantees there that create more accessibility. And we also updated the cross-referencing and ed code language.
Move approval of Board Policy 5145.6.
Second.
8
It
through
was
C.
moved, it was moved by Mrs. Yelsey, seconded by Mrs. Bartow. Any discussion?
Mrs. Fleur.
Thank you. Yeah, Mrs. Yelsey from her plane, no, it was moved by Mrs. Fleur. It's not late, people.
In one
And
reading.
it was still seconded by Mrs. Bartow, right? I heard that right. Okay. Sorry, Mrs. Fleur.
Okay.
Well, we haven't voted
Oh,
yet.
I apologize.
It's okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 601.
Okay, 5145.7, sexual harassment. We had the team of board members that initially reviewed this, we had a long discussion about where exactly sexual harassment activities. We wanted to make sure the language was clear on where and how we would govern that. And so there's language in there about off-campus sexual harassment. We also talked about steps taken by the principal. We added a step in terms of messaging and complainants' non-compliance. And then we also indicated in bullet point 7, including the right to file a civil complaint. Bullet point 8, interim measures that would be taken by the district. And then we also added language about investigations as well as how they would be resolved, aligned to Administrative Regulation 1312.3.
Okay, move to approve.
Second.
First reading, Board Policy 5145.7.
It was moved by Mrs. Snell, seconded by Mrs. Black. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Again, aligned with FPM more, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm on 5145.9, hate-motivated behavior. This board policy, we cleaned up some language that we felt would be a little bit more appropriate, taking out the word harmonious and using respectful, those kinds of things. Again, this policy was also recently reviewed by you only last year, but we felt it needed to be cleaned up in terms of our alignment and participation with other organizations in stopping hate-motivated behavior on campus. We also looked at additional language in the CSBA model sample about training and preventing hate-motivated behavior. And then we also added additional language on the complaint process. All of this also came out in light of recent events that we've been dealing with this year that you are aware of. at some of our campuses. I think it's an appropriate addition of language given the what's been going on in the community.
Move approval in first reading of Board Policy 5145.9.
Second.
It was moved by Mrs. Fleur and seconded by Mrs. Bartow. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I just only heard you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 6-0.
And then
One.
the final policy, Student Services, is bringing us 5145.13. This is a completely new policy. We've never had a policy on response to immigration enforcement, but you might recall that the Attorney General's office is very interested in making sure that there is no impediments to access to education for students based on immigration or national origin. We've recently updated all of our website language aligned to that. We've worked with our attorneys to communicate to the Attorney General's office, and again, to show our consideration for those concerns, we've adopted this CSBA model policy in its entirety.
Move to,
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
move to approve Board Policy 5145.13.
Second.
It was moved by Mrs. Black, seconded by Mrs. Bartow.
Nope.
Any-
Nope.
Anderson.
Miss Anderson, thank you.
Was in first, I didn't hear with first
Did you ask for it
reading.
to be moved in the first
I
reading?
didn't put it in first reading. Yeah, I would like it to be first reading, for a
Okay,
first reading.
It was amended to say, moved in the first reading by Mrs. Black, seconded by Miss Anderson. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 6-0. Again, you're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, she's back.
I'd like to thank the edit team while you're transitioning, because
Yeah, this is big.
we nitpick and we brutalize our poor staff in those meetings, and they go back and they check, and so that's what I think really, and Ms. Snyder has given direction to so many administrative assistants that they can nail us, and that we walk out, and we feel pretty good about the policies that are then brought to the full board for discussion.
That's great.
Okay, your turn.
And I have two policies for you. The first one, BP 6145. Both of these policies are being updated. They're only 3 years old, but it's the same thing because of federal progress monitoring and it's updates from CSBA. And the first one, 6145, are just adding a couple protected classes.
Move to approve Board Policy 6145 in first reading.
Second.
It was moved by Mrs. Snell, seconded by Mrs. Bartow. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 601.
And so the second one, BP 6145.2 under athletic competition is the same. There are updates from CSBA, and it's basically adding protected classes in different places.
Move Board Policy 6145.2 in the first reading.
Second?
It was moved by Mrs. Fleur, seconded by Mrs. Black. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm not opposed.
You are opposed? Okay. Thank you. It was 5-1-1. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that went faster than I thought.
Yes. Okay.
Hallelujah.
Community input on non-agenda items.
Hordes of people
How
waiting
come
to
you didn't
speak.
bring that up?
Just one.
Oh, we do have one?
We do.
This is an opportunity for the public to address non-agenda topics within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Per Board Policy 9323, each individual speaker will have 3 minutes. Speakers may not cede unused minutes to other speakers, and there's a maximum of 20 minutes of comments per topic. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public comments, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to speak. In compliance with board policy and the Ralph M. Brown Act, the board is not permitted to take action on non-agenda items. When addressing the board, it is helpful if you state your name and address for the video record.
Pam Saunders. Thank you for sticking around.
Well, my name is Pam Saunders. President Matoye, Dr. Navarro, Board, and Cabinet. I just want to thank all of you for your participation in A-State. You truly showed how much you appreciate, respect, and care for all of our classified employees. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to spend the day with us. I would like to recognize Kristen Clark and her staff for all their hard work, making it a great day for all of us, and also Annette and Adriana for the pictures and the slideshow. Thank you very much. It was a fun day.
It's a wonderful program. Thank you.
And it's our 12th year, so, and there's a lot of districts around that won't even do the program anymore with their employees, so, and I hear that from my friends, so thank you so much for allowing us every year.
Thank you. Yeah, it is our pleasure. All righty. Board member reports. This time we're starting with Mrs. Bartow.
Well, I'm really excited because I visited the last of my tour of elementary, high school, middle schools today.
So impressive.
I am impressed.
I learned a lot. I think the thing that I came away with was how unique each community is, even if sometimes they're separated by a couple streets. And it gave me an idea, and well, maybe we can make it work somehow, is to have I think I remember this from when I was growing up, inter-district pen pals. I think it'd be so fun. I know like a lot of librarians will get that going, and I thought because we have these schools that are so close together, but the kids are so different, starting that now when they're young could build that dialogue when they're in high school.
Great idea.
So food for thought for down the road. I attended a lot of great events honoring some really talented students for the DAR. The AVID 8th grade standout, though, was my favorite of all the ones I attended, watching kids come from all over Orange County who had overcome some serious challenges, and how well they were doing, and how the Angels just really did it up and treated them to a really meaningful night and encouraged their families to continue moving towards college. It was really great to see. And then it was also a great honor to go to see the opening and ribbon cutting of Franny Field. So many people, it meant so much to them, and just a really powerful, emotional experience, I think, for everybody who was there. So that was really great.
Thank you. Mrs. Black.
Okay, so we were all at, up in Sacramento, and I have to be, really honest and transparent that I always at the end go, why was I here? Because, legislators aren't there, but over the years I've learned that we do make a difference, and CSBA is our California School Board Association. They're, very connected, and they are collaborative, and it's an amazing group of individuals, and I hope you, got something out of it. I think you
Yes, I did.
So Mrs. Floor, back in, we think 2011, was our California School Board state president, and it was right on the heels of the recession, and we started this dialogue. Actually, Mrs. Floor started by meeting with legislators and board members in the area, but also with the governor, at the time. And that's what really started our full and fair funding, which is now our new program at this point. And I remember being on that committee saying, this is going to go nowhere, and because, I've been doing this for a long time, and not getting paid for it, by the way, and just not letting it go away. I mean, they can't, we are the 5th largest economy in the world, and we are 40, we're the 41st, if you're going to go down the thing, we're the highest gross domestic product of any state. And these are my cheat sheets that I wrote. But California is 41st in per pupil funding, nationwide, 45th in the percentage of taxable income spent on children, and we're 48th in staffing per per student. And so we have spent 5 years, and like I said, government is slow boat, but we as, board members, we have a pretty powerful voice. Even though I know we all think we're the lowest life form in politics, I think it's important for us we're in the trenches and we do know. And I jokingly say that, but I really feel on deaf ears. So I really implore you to contact our representative, Mr. Morlock, who is an amazing person when it comes to funding and budgets. He understands it, so he should understand this. This district alone, our special education budget encroaches into our, and it's been a little higher, a little lower, but it's $40 million, and that's not including feeding our children and home to school transportation, but other districts who don't, have the, I would say I gotta be careful how I say it, but not the wherewithal, that to do the type of budgeting that we do, and just looking back at our priorities and our goals, they only dream about that stuff because you can't tell me that they don't know, and they don't have the same desires for their students or their communities. But I think we really need to educate them, and that's my concern. They're sending out their staff members, and I'm not criticizing them, but I've been doing this 20 years. I'm over it. We need to start, at least move up the ranks. We're going down instead of up. And so that's what I spend my time in May doing up in Sacramento. And Mrs. Floor's been doing it a lot longer than I have, and can't wait to pass the baton. Yeah.
2 whole days. Woo.
But anyway, and the other thing is I do want to encourage you to go, because I sent you all the special education. I am going to send you the full funding. I'm going to send it to everyone. But I wanted you to kind of, and you don't have to tell me whether or not you read it or looked at it, but I think it's a good cheat sheet for you. The other thing is Dr. D'Agostino shared and Russell, shared with us about our student advisory, what their priorities are, and so we had great discussion about that. And then also, I just think this is so. We got from I always forget her name, Racine Cross, who's a teacher, our CTE teacher over at Costa Mesa High School. Are you going to talk about the, okay, so I got this email and I was so excited because she's so excited. But she's excited to announce they took second place in the 2019 Solar Cup. Yep. And you already know about it?
Nope.
Okay, so 40 schools from across Southern California participated. They improved upon our 4th place finish from last year to 2nd place, and they also received 1st place in technical report for South County, 1st place in public service message for South County, 2nd place endurance race, and then she goes on to, I will send this to you, her email, once I figure out how to do it. And then, because it is really a great story, and everybody, the district, a lot of support staff, M&O helped make sure they got their, equipment there, their boat there.
It was a good PDA.
Yeah.
It was a really good PDA.
Well, she sent me an email, so I didn't get the PDA, so I'm sorry.
That's
And
what
then
they had it on the day that they did the demo, and they had it up there.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry,
That's
I
okay.
must have been out of town or something. And then also CTE and the DECA News too, also, being invited as delegates, to 22,000 competing, 22,000 students. So I really love this report. And so I'd like that to go out, and I'm sure, well, where'd you go? Annette?
I'm going to ask for that so I can make sure I get it.
It's so amazing, yeah. So I will send this off to you. And I'm too tired. I can't even articulate it anymore, so.
So you'll pass it to Mrs. Floor.
Okay, great. And I will send you all this back.
Can I give you a little more information on the solar boat?
Sure.
The only thing that cost them was that the size of their motor was not as big as the others. That's why they lost some points. Otherwise,
I know,
they
they
would
They were
have got.
more efficient, so they did well.
Well, they were more efficient, but they weren't fast enough in the distance. Yeah, it was the
But for
speed.
doing CTE, I'm too tired to talk. But anyway, we're getting national recognition in all of our schools, and we started off with signature academies. So I couldn't be more excited because I'm all about project-based learning because that's how I learn the best. So I'm going to keep pushing it. Thank you.
Do you have to bring that up? No, I'm just,
All of a sudden, my computer's
Oh, here, you want to use mine?
well, you play. I'll do my report and come back to you. Because it won't match. Last week, I had one of those days where I was going boom, boom, boom to a bunch of things, and one of the things we did was that, and it wasn't mentioned, was that Costa Mesa High School won the all-sports trophy for the
yeah.
city, which
No,
in the
they
6 years I've been on the board, Mrs. Snell has enjoyed the pleasure of participating, so I was really jazzed that it's green this year. According to Dr. Haley, he said it's never leaving Mesa again. Well, but it was fun. It was it was good. I want to thank the STEP flower cart again. We so appreciate the flowers. They last forever. I don't know where they're growing them or how fresh we get them, but they're phenomenal. And it's just such a nice touch. And flowers make me smile, and so that's nice.
We ordered them and
We
did their
ordered them.
business, yeah.
Yes, they, it's a bait, they catch it. The first one's free. They gave us the flowers. We went, oh my gosh, these are fabulous. And I didn't even have enough time for my old ones to die yet to bring back the other containers. So this is a good thing. And I, along with Miss Anderson, we attended the grand opening ribbon cutting of the new Costa Mesa branch of the Orange County Public Library, the Donald Dungan branch. And it was a long ceremony, but it was a very nice ceremony. And the new library is absolutely spectacular. I know that we approved tonight Pomona Elementary going over there and already, so that was exciting. Everyone needs to drop into the library to see the spaces, to see the beautiful expanse. They have, the second floor is like a big reading room. It's like Barnes and Noble's without a cash register. They've got chairs with cup holders next to them, looking out on the expanse of grass. So it's really relaxing, and it was innovative and creative, and it was a wonderful day. And that day, with all the dignitaries that were there, I met Lorianne Farrell Harrison, who is will be our new city manager at Costa Mesa. And I chatted her up and mentioned what a great partnership we have with our liaison committee and how great it is for the city to work with the school district. And so I prepped her. So as long as we don't mess it up, we're good, guys. It's just another statement that the city and the district work hand in hand, and it's wonderful. Did you find your stuff?
Yep, I got it.
Okay, Mrs. Floor.
Well, a couple of things. Well, several things. You want me to count them?
Don't say couple if it's several.
It's several.
Several gives you more
Ace,
latitude.
fabulous. I was able to work with Bridget Brisonet.
Your superstar?
The superstar. She is an amazing young woman. And she's only been with the district like 2 years. She started in 2017, and she has moved up, and she touches every single employee in this district because she does all their badges. And I happen to know what color we're going to have next year, because she got to choose it. But she made her own backdrop because she didn't like what the backdrop was, so she's made her own. She's quite a seamstress, and she makes all her own clothes, and she actually is an award winner at the Orange County Fair. So she was great. I'm still waiting for that time to get to drive a forklift. Just take me over to the fairgrounds and let me have that. Paul's not here anymore.
And Shelley wants to drive the mower, right?
Yeah, I could do that one. That would be fun, too. But again, it's a great program, and I really appreciate it. again, had the opportunity to do the DAR. It's always a great. And then Shar and I were able to attend the Evening of the Arts right after that. And that was just
Freezing.
phenomenal.
Oh,
Freezing.
great. Yes, it was
but
phenomenal.
phenomenal. We do have two of the girls, two of the teams are going to the Nationals, which are going to be in Anaheim. The first, I think it's coming up this weekend, in which they're competing. They have developed a new sauce.
Oh, that's right. Dipping sauce?
Dipping sauce. Dipping. I have some in my refrigerator. There's a hot one and a mild one. And they're really going to compete. But I'll tell you, they served a lamb chop that was
my gosh.
unbelievable. I mean, I took one home to my husband. I said, here, have this. Would you like this? And he ate the whole thing. I mean, it was like, I was hoping that you weren't going to eat this because it was so good. The food was outstanding. The artwork is unbelievable. The dance, everything was just fabulous, and they just keep getting bigger and bigger, and it was a wonderful event. Then I also had an opportunity to go to East Bluff and hear their spring performance. I'll tell you, we have some great music teachers. They are just unbelievable what they can do with these little munchkins. And what's really great about East Bluff is that they fully include their special ed kids into all the performances. So you had these little kindergartners with their aide right next to them, and they're singing along and dancing along. It was just terrific. And then again, I'll talk a little bit about crop in a minute. Tonight, we approved a Newport Heights agenda item to do the parking lot reconfiguration. But I just want to make a statement, is because in that contract it says we have no requirements about the improvements on outside of the parking lot.
Yes.
And that's where the improvements need to be done, because you've already done some improvements to the parking lot. Great idea. But going down 15th, right at our parking lot entrance, you can't turn left. You have to go up the street and hang a U-ey in the middle of the street, or go down another street, turn left, come back up, turn left again, and go back in. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous that the city of Newport Beach can't just cut a little portion of the island to allow our parents to turn left into the parking lot. I don't understand why, but we're going to reconfigure our parking lot. But it's not going to help the people dropping off their kids.
I did 4 laps this morning.
4 laps, can you imagine?
Direct your phone calls to cityofnewportbeach.ca.gov.
You know, are you kidding me? It's just ridiculous.
Well,
It's
don't get
just
me started
ridiculous.
on Ensign.
Anyway, so that's just one of the little things. Again, I want to thank Delegate Assembly. We spent a lot of time on special ed, and thank you, Jeff and Sarah, for providing the documentation
Yes,
that we
we
all
were
were able to
heroes.
share
Great.
in our sessions about the burdensome cost of our special ed. And, you know, again, as one person said in my breakout was, we are a destination. We're a special ed destination city and a special ed destination
yes, we
district.
are.
And they moving in because of the litigious abilities to do it. And that's what they really asked for, was to put some caps on some of the issues and major issues on that. And then, of course, then you had the small districts of 500 students who were saying, we can't even get a special ed teacher, you know.
What's an SLP?
Well,
That's what they were
yeah.
saying.
So that was it. And then finally, I just, again, in recognition to our student board members, it was great, but I know that this was something that Mrs. Snell wanted a couple of years ago when she was president, is to take a look again at our student board member processes. And I know it's too late again this year because they've already been probably selected, but I swear to God, I believe that we should be looking at that, and if we can look at it this summer, maybe it can be implemented in January of 2020, so that we have a
Let's see
really
what they
good
feedback.
process of selecting and engaging and identifying people that, to apply. Just like they revamped the City of Newport Beach Youth Commission. I think that it's really important that we find we've been really very lucky in terms of who we've gotten. But again, that's it. And then finally,
Tied to the March.
had an opportunity to go to, this is the awards ceremony time, and it's fabulous.
Smile season.
And just like you attended the Avid, I was able to go to the Back Bay Monte Vista Awards, and there was a young lady there who received a full ride of $70,000 to Chapman University. Very impressive, and that's compliments to their staff. And they've done a wonderful job, and thank you. That's it.
You're very welcome. Mrs. Snell.
Okay. Well, nobody's mentioned the Les Miller Awards. I know we.
Well, thank you.
And
We
we
yes.
loved it. It was a great. I don't know if I liked the venue. You guys all liked it, but
I got a lot of positive feedback from people. For me,
I think the kids liked it.
kids loved it.
And it's about them, so okay.
Yeah, but it was very concrete.
Yeah, it's at Volcom. It was a Volcom, okay, because I went to Vans first. Got mixed up.
You weren't going to say anything, but since you.
Really, Vans was very nice. But anyway, we were at Volcom in the skateboard area, skate park area, yeah.
Indoor.
Yeah, I almost fell down twice, just trying to get to my table. But it was very nice, and the kids from all the different schools were there, and everybody enjoyed it. I didn't get anything to eat, but okay, because I went to the wrong place.
It wasn't healthy friendly. I mean, it was delicious.
It was for the kids, yeah, and it's better, yeah, I like that. I also enjoy the ACE job shadowing. I always love that, and I got to go to Newport Heights. And I didn't have any problem with the parking lot because I went in the out. I went in there. Yeah. Got right into my parking place.
Well,
I wasn't going to go. It was the middle of the day.
It wasn't drop-off time.
I would high five you if I was close.
So, so I shadowed Sharon Sutton in their library, and she is delightful. And so, as I said before, she's just so passionate about what she does, and she was putting the moves on me about, more bucks, and yeah, she's good. She's good. I liked it. But the PTA over there, they fund this. The kids do bookmarks, and it's their favorite book, like Pete the Cat and Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus and stuff like that. So I told her I would pass them along, and you guys could take one or however and pass them back. And then I also attended in the awards thing, the early college high school awards night, and there were a lot of scholarships and awards given out, and it was wonderful. I attended with Ashley the School Smarts graduation of parents that attend Adams, Kaiser, Killiebrook, and Ensign. And they present, oh, that's right, I did a report for all of you, because they presented their action plan. And it was very interesting, and it really focused on more math, help for the parents in assisting their kids in math. That was the crux of it. And because they don't really understand the way math is being taught now, and it's very difficult for them to help their kids. So that was very interesting. And lastly, I attended the WAVE event.
Thank you.
Yeah, at the Laguna Beach High School Theater.
Oh.
Yes, and it was on a Sunday, and which I don't like to do things on the weekend, except my stuff. But it was, and so I kind of went kicking and screaming, but it was so good. We had great speakers, the Bernsteins, whose son Blaze was killed, Derek Black, who was part of the whole David Duke. David Duke was his godfather in that whole movement, and how he has changed how he thinks. Yeah, really good speaker. Someone from the director of the Rogers Center for Holocaust Education, and then gun safety, and let's see, Anna Mendez, National Association of People Against Bullying, and her daughter. It was really, really interesting. And this organization is a woman's organization, and it's, what is it? Women for American Values and Ethics Action. And I think it's bipartisan. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because it's just about doing things for kids, and I liked it. It was really good. So
And I appreciate you, since
I know you owe me.
Yeah, I know.
No, it was good.
I signed up for it. I was all excited. I thought it was great. And then
It
I
was
looked at
good.
my calendar, went right in the middle of delegate assembly. Yeah.
I was really
And
glad I
Sandy Field,
went.
So thank you for that.
And Fred drove, and Dr. Bauermeister came as well. Dr. Navarro drove, and Dr. Bauermeister came as well. So I didn't have to talk to anybody on the way down. I just sat in the back seat.
And listen,
and listened. Yeah, they talked about baseball.
Your favorite subject.
Miss
Yeah.
Anderson.
I only have one because a lot of them got covered. I got to go to the Inclusion Council at Newport Harbor High School very early Monday morning. And it was really, I loved being there. One of the things that is going to come out of that is they're doing a senior exit survey to determine school climate, to hear from the students directly how they felt their high school experience went.
Nice.
So that is something I'm really looking forward to hearing the results of as well. And then if there's a possibility of doing that also for the junior high students. So that was it. I went to a lot of other events that already got covered.
I always liked being last because I made a list and just crossed things out as people talked about it. We've had a very, very long meeting. I thank staff for putting up, but we've had some very robust discussions tonight, and as a board member, that feels good to really get to discuss some stuff during discussion action, and appreciate all the work that's been done by our staff, by our students, by our kids. And like I said, it's smile season, so we're all gonna be just grinning at all the good stuff that happens. Do I have a,
Motion to
Hold on.
adjourn. Oh.
No report.
do we have any, good, that's what I was asking,
I do, but I won't today.
Yeah.
and
It's
we
okay.
appreciate and love you for not cropping.
Not cropping.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Mrs. Snell moved to adjourn at 10:16.